All right. Hello, everybody. Welcome back to another episode of The Market Close. Today is going to be an important one because just like you all, I am also struggling to fully understand what the heck is happening today. I know there's a lot of questions that are out there, not as many answers, and we are going to try over the next 20 minutes to get some answers. And then we got earnings. We still have earnings on a day like this. We still have earnings. AMD after the bell, SMCI, Chipotle, Enphase, Take-Two, EA Sports, Amgen, and Mondelez. We'll be going through all those names after the bell. We will also have Technical Tuesday and get Jason's thoughts in the next hour in terms of what's going on in this market. But, I mean, let's talk about it. Let's talk about what is happening. S&P 500 down 1% for the day. It was worse than this, which is, I guess, a little bit of the bright side here. It did get a bit uglier at some point. We were at 684 on the S&P. We are now at 688.56. We started off the morning at 696. So an ugly day, to say the least. Robinhood down 4% on the day. It already took a 10% haircut yesterday, so this one continues to get hit. RKLB up 8% on the day as space continues to gain momentum. This is why today is confusing. I love RKLB, but the fact that it's up 9% today and pretty much every other growth stock is getting hit, it's hard. It's hard to fully rationalize it. SanDisk, this thing was just up like less than 0.5% 20 minutes ago. Now it's up 4% as we get into the end of the day. A little weird. PayPal down 20%. That's not that weird, even though I think 20% is a little too much, but that one got hit today with earnings. Broadcom down 4%. Tesla down 0.5%. Micron down 5%. Not really moving with SanDisk right there. I mean, freaking NVIDIA is at 179.80, at least getting a rebound from 176, but even this stock got hit pretty aggressively. As well as that one is down 3% on the day. We're probably getting a bit of a sympathy bounce into the last 10 minutes. Palantir right there up 6% after some of the best earnings that they've ever put up. That sympathy bounce makes sense. The question is, do you believe it? Do you believe in any of this little bounce that we are getting? And it's hard to say yes or no, quite frankly, because there was not enough of a reason for why we went down or enough of a reason for why we are going back up. App11 right there, that's down 5%. Oracle, worst price in a year, that's down 3%. Quantum getting a little bit of green, even though that was red in the morning. Ondas, drone stock, getting a little bit of green, even though that was red in the morning. Same with T1 Energy, Quantum, Ondas, T1, ASTS, RKLB. All of these are high beta names, not to mention gold and silver that are also acting as if they are high beta names. Silver's up 9% on the day. Gold is up 6% on the day. Companies with real strong fundamentals and earnings, like a Broadcom or NVIDIA, are getting hit. I mean, again, for the people asking for an answer to this or trying to understand how it's playing out, it's confusing. And I don't really think there is an answer. I mean, the best thing I've got for you guys, by the way, the government is not going to be shut down. The partial funding bill was passed today, which is good. So, you know, that happened an hour ago. Maybe that's creating a little bit of a bounce right here as we get into the close. Fear and greed is at 40, by the way. We were at 63 a couple of days ago. So we are now at 40. The one headline I saw was about a strike that we did do. U.S. shoots down Iranian drone aimed at a carrier. Iranian gunboats also tried to stop a U.S. flagship, and Tehran unsettled plans for talks as tensions rose in the Middle East. I mean, maybe this was one of the reasons that freaked out the market, but quite frankly, and I'm curious what people say in the chat. Also, let me know if you bought the dip, if you sold anything, if you raised any cash, if you had to do any moves. Let me know in the chat. I bought some NVIDIA, Palantir yesterday, NVIDIA, Hood, and Microsoft this morning. Not big buys, very small toe dips, nothing too crazy. But let me know what other people did. But again, realistically, this is not macro stuff. This is not government shutdown stuff. I don't think it's Iranian geopolitical conflict stuff. I don't know. Like, I really don't know. Is it the market just being moody because it wants to be moody? Maybe. But for a legitimate, is it CTAs out positioning, hedge funds rotating? Potentially, you've got beginning of month shenanigans, just like you had end of month shenanigans back at the end of January. It's Miss Cleo's cards, maybe. I really don't know. Bitcoin, by the way, broke below freaking 74 at one point. We got to 72.9. It's nice to see a bounce back to 76, but obviously the crypto markets have been decimated as well. Ethereum hit 2110. Now we're back at almost 2300. See, a lot of ServiceNows in the chat. Interesting. So people are buying the dip on ServiceNow. That stock down another 7%. Salesforce down 7%. Microsoft, wow, 409. Lows of the day, basically lows. 408.50 was the low. Novo had a headline about their sales guidance for 2026 being incredibly worse than expected. Street thought they would do negative 1% growth. They said we're going to do potentially negative 13% growth. That's a 1,300% divergence from what the street thought. Novo's down 14% on the day, and that didn't help HIMS at all. HIMS right there down about 4.2% as well. So I don't know, dude. It is one of those things where I took a lot of calls over the past couple hours of the variety of different people. And again, the number one thing I'm hearing from most people is just like, why is this happening? And a lot of people don't really have an answer. And I think as a result of not having an answer, that's what's making it more frustrating. Obviously, the lack of an answer makes it a little difficult to understand. But nonetheless, you are seeing some of the pain here as we get into the close. Let me know what people are saying on AMD. We'll do the pump or dump poll in the chat. We also can't fully call this a correction. The S&P 500 is not even down 5%. 5% is a correction. 10% is 5% is a pullback. 10% is a correction. You're not even seeing that. You're not even fully seeing that. AMD pump or dump. Let's see what people think. Now, again, SOFI also, at some point, this just has to be stupid, right? ZETA fell below 17 at one point, getting a little bounce right there at 1730. SOFI, did it deserve to hit 2 cents away below going 21? I don't think so, but that's what we're seeing right now. 21.54, SOFI right there, still down about 2.45% on the day. This is all because of Anthropic. That's going to hurt SaaS names. It might be. Again, I think the SaaS carnage is a bit overdone, and I think it's happening in a way that isn't really understandable given a lot of the SaaS names are still producing incredible amounts of free cash flow. For the street to really be pricing in, yes, ServiceNow, Salesforce, all these companies are dead because of Claude. I don't know. Feels a little aggressive, but this is how the market is potentially thinking of what's playing out here. Let's do a little bit of a recap on some of the financials that got hit today as well. Obviously, PayPal was one of the biggest ones. Let's just pull this up real quick, and then we'll keep going from there.
To boost Santander's presence in the United States, Webster, which is based in the Northeast, has seen about a 10% gain in the past year before the announcement, so shares climb even higher. The deal is expected to close in the second half of 2026. PayPal shares moving in the opposite direction, down about 19% after the company missed expectations for the top and bottom lines, guidance, and other key metrics. But PayPal also announced a CEO change. As it said, progress just hasn't been fast enough. The stock is trading at lows not seen since 2017 and is down more than 50% just in the past year. And shares of Novo Nordisk also falling about 14.5% after a trading halt, as the drug maker unexpectedly warned that its 2026 sales and profit growth will be hurt by lower drug prices in the United States. And that's amid fierce competition in the weight loss space as well. Shares down almost 40% on the year, Scott.
Wow. Again, just a tough day for a lot of these companies that are reporting after the bell. AMD will be reporting in about 20 minutes. But for a lot of these names, they're going to have to report into what is a complicated day for the macro. It's just, as Rocket Lab makes new highs of the day, we don't really have a reason for why it's such a complicated day for the macro. NVIDIA right there, 180.4, getting your bounce off 176. Are we in a bull market or bear market? It's a great question. And I think the answer objectively is it depends on what stock you're in. If you're in Rocket Lab at $50, it's a bull market. If you're in Rocket Lab at 97 from 2 weeks ago, it's a bear market, even though it's a little bit less painful today. I don't know. If you're in Microsoft at 450 because you thought that was a relatively attractive deal, it's a bear market. Like, it is weird, but it's also not weird enough to say the entire market in every single sector is going down, because you got SanDisk that's up 170% year to date, as this one's up 3.1% as we get into the close. So it's just one of those things that's a bit more confusing than not. And unfortunately, we are not going to necessarily see how this fully plays out or what exactly happens until we get some broader clarity. And right now, I don't think we have this clarity. Jose said I'm not replying. When did Jose... Is Jose streaming the earnings as well? Oh my goodness, I didn't even know Jose was streaming. Okay, I'm going to send him my StreamYard link and see if he wants to come on, but he's doing his own channel right now. Okay. Yeah, I'll send him the link. I'll see if he wants to come on. If you want to come on. He was supposed to come on in the morning, but he couldn't make it because he said he had meetings the whole time. So I was like, all right, that's fine. We'll see if we can get him on. AMD is going to happen at around 4:15-ish. So we have about 15 minutes until they can come on. And we'll see what earnings we get. Yes, we'll also have to. That's the other thing. Jose might be streaming the call, guys. We're not streaming the call. Let me say it again. We are not streaming the AMD call. We are doing Technical Tuesday. So if you want, oh, that's probably another reason he shouldn't come on today. Dude, I haven't been able to respond to anything over the past couple of days with the meetup. So that's probably another reason I've missed text messages. But if he's streaming the call, yeah, we're not streaming the call. Unless you guys really want to stream the call. But I think more people would care about technicals versus streaming the call today. Let me text them. We'll have him on tomorrow. All right. So no, I'm not streaming the call. I already asked in the morning. People said if you want to stream the call, you can go to Jose's channel. I'll link Jose's channel here, but I mean, not everyone here is an AMD shareholder. So also the call is boring, bro. Like, what are we gonna do listening to like they're just gonna read the results and then answer some questions. And if the stock kind of tanks, then we definitely don't want to listen to the call at that point. 242. That's down 1.7% on the day. What did people say? Pump or dump? Pump or dump on AMD? 65% of people saying pump. 35% of people saying dump. Jose said, all right, we'll do the recap tomorrow. All right, so we'll have Jose on tomorrow morning. We'll see his thoughts on what's going on. Yeah, again, weird day. Very confusing. We got a lot of earnings to discuss. AMD is going to be happening in 15 minutes. Again, if you want the call at 5 o'clock, I'll send the link to Jose's channel, and you guys can go there and listen to the call. But we'll try to get Jason on in the next 40 minutes and see his technical thoughts on what's been happening. A lot of key levels that broke. For example, a company like Hood breaking below 85 today, but also some key levels that are relatively in check, like the S&P not really giving up too much of the 200 moving day. So a weird day, not really enough explanation I can give you guys for why this is happening. I mean, literally, I've talked to like 4 different people over the past 2 hours, and none of them really understand why it's happening. And then it's confusing because you see RKLB go up 10% into the close while NVIDIA is still down on the day. It's like it's very divergent behavior from the market. Maybe it was just a random day where you had a random, irrational, moody market. And maybe that changes if we get some good earnings today. And we're going to see if that happens with AMD. Tuesday, February 3rd, 4 p.m., the stock market is now closed. That was our new bell. Shout out to Cindy for the bell. AMD, 242. That's down about 1.6% on the day. Microsoft is down 3%. Novo Nordisk, worst day in a while, down 15%. HIMS is down 3% for the day. ZETA was down 5%. ServiceNow was down 7%. Salesforce was down 7%. Ethereum and Bitcoin both down about 2 to 3%. Rocket Lab, end of the day, up 10%. Palantir, up 7%. Lunar, same thing with Rocket Lab. These space names are kind of trading together. That was up 9.9% on the day. ASTS, that was up 10% on the day. Intuit was down about 10% on the day. Fubo was down 22% on the day. I don't know what the hell happened to Fubo, but that one got hit. CRML, that was up 20% with that new critical reserve for rare earth minerals, and that's why that stock got some love. MP, that was up 9.3%. Silver and gold, again, both had a good day. It's just, you know, can you count on them actually holding the levels that they have held? Gold, remember, was 5,500 last week. It's at 49.41, up 6% on the day. Silver was still up 9% at $84 an ounce. It was at 120 an ounce on Friday as well, before that one got hit. Shopify, down 10%. Why is Shopify down 10%? Someone tell me. I don't know, but it's down 10%. S&P Global down 11%. Moody's down 9%. There has to be a bigger reasoning than just the technicals or just a potential Iranian strike for why these stocks saw the velocity of the sell-off they did today. And maybe it's random, but maybe it's not. And hopefully we'll try to get some more answers throughout the course of the day. Walmart ended at an all-time high, now $1.02 trillion market cap. Walmart now has a higher PE than Robinhood. The company that's growing 3% a year has a higher PE than the company growing 50% a year. it is what it is. But Walmart right there, 127.71, up 2.94% on the day. Grab actually got a little bit of a bounce, fell to 418, now at 427, still down 3% on the day. CoreWeave, 90.06. Nebius as well, I think closed green. Yeah, Nebius 89.95. And then IREN ended up closing at 54.39, up about 2.4% on the day, as some of your data center stocks kind of recovered a little bit. S&P 500 again ended down 1% on the day. All right, earnings. What do we got? AMD is going to take a second. SMCI, let's see which numbers we have coming out. Let's also make a list real quick in which we can make these earnings. We have SMCI, we have AMD, we have EA, we have Mondelez. What else do we have? We have Amgen, which I think we just got their numbers. Let me pull that up in a second. EA Sports, Chipotle. Chipotle messed up last quarter, but they blamed the consumer. So we're going to see today if that can potentially change. We also have Enphase. I know a lot of people have been getting more bullish about that one. And then Take-Two in the gaming space. Google kind of messed up a lot of the gaming stocks last week with their thing that they put out. What was it called? Genie or something? So that was also important. Wow, Texas Instruments in talks to buy Silicon Laboratories. S-Lab is the ticker on that. That's not, wow, 40% move after hours. Oh my goodness. Texas Instruments in talks to buy Silicon Laboratories. That's up. Lumen also has earnings. Let me add that real quick. Ticker symbol on that is LUMN, right? I think I should be, yes, LUMN. They beat by 18% on EPS, 167 versus 141. Beat by 2% on revenue, 665 versus 652. That stock's down 10%. That stock is down 10% on the day. Pretty aggressive. Oh, no, light. Why am I looking at, no, light. Sorry. My bad. Light. That stock's up 11%. So Light Lumentum Holdings beat by 18% on EPS, beat by 2% on revenue. EPS is up 300% year over year. Revenue is up 65% year over year. These are some pretty damn good numbers. $30 billion market cap. That stock is up 10%. Lumen, though, which is a different company, is down 12%. So I would imagine that also had some crappy earnings. We'll check on it in a second. But Light right there, that is up 11.4%. SMCI. Let me see if I can pull that up right here. Those numbers, SMCI, let's see what we've got. This is up about 2% after hours. Let's see what we have, SMCI. Not seeing the earnings yet. Let's hold on a second. AMD is also at 4:15, guys. AMD is at 4:15, so we have 10 minutes. We are not going to see that one. Yeah, Decker's already reported. So Michael Saylor just tweeted, volatility is Satoshi's gift to the faithful. Thanks. That means a lot. Okay, don't have SMCI. Enphase. We got Enphase. That stock beat by 22% on EPS. Wow. Beat by 1% on revenue. 22% on EPS, 1% on revenue. Let's pull that up right here and see what we've got. Enphase is up about 1% after hours. Nothing too crazy for Enphase. That is a pretty big beat. Take-Two as well. Let's add that here. Chipotle, that's still flat. Lumentum, again, that's up 12% after hours. AMD, that's flat. Enphase up 1.26. They beat by 1% on revenue. Revenue still down 10% year over year. EPS is down 24% year over year. But nonetheless, you got some pretty decent earnings right there. Take-Two, that's up 5%. They missed EPS by 28%. That's ugly. Negative 50 cents versus negative 39 cents expected. Revenue 1.7 versus 1.5. They beat by 11%. EPS is still up 30% year over year. Revenue is up 28% year over year. So good year over year comps. But they did miss by a third on EPS, which I don't know if the street is necessarily going to be happy about. Looks like guidance should be helping a little bit more. Yeah, Grand Theft Auto, I don't know if that one's ever coming. SMCI, we got a 1.2% move after hours. I don't have the numbers yet. We don't have SMCI We also don't have AMD yet. AMD will be soon. Amgen also had earnings. Let me pull this up real quick. Amgen, that stock is down 0.5%. This one looked like a beat and a beat. Amgen beat by 12%, 529 versus 473 on EPS. EPS is still down year over year. Revenue's up 9% year over year. They beat by 4%, 9.8 versus 9.45 billion on revenue. And that's what you have for Amgen. Lumentum, I know a lot of you guys have been talking about this for a while. 30.8 billion. This has a role in the semiconductor ecosystem. If I'm not wrong, that's up 12%. They beat EPS pretty aggressively, and their year-over-year growth is 298%, beating EPS by 18%. So that one is doing well. Again, SLab, let's put that on the list. That is getting bought out apparently by Texas Instruments. That stock is up 35%. Photonics, yeah, 35% after hours. AMD is the big one we're looking for. I don't have SMCI numbers yet. SMCI should be out. Now, granted, they do have a history of not putting out their numbers, so it's understandable that they're not out yet. But they should be out soon. Let me see if there's a different source for SMCI. Nope, not yet. Not yet. We're still waiting. We are still waiting to see what we can get here. After the bell, let's see where NVIDIA is and how's NVIDIA doing. NVIDIA, we were hitting 180 after hours, 180.7. NVIDIA is actually a little green. S&P's green. I mean, pretty much everything after hours is green. ASTS up again after hours. Nebius up after hours. ZETA's up a little bit. HIMS is up a little bit again, probably after hours. Little small bounce, nothing crazy, but you're getting something. Microsoft actually going red after hours, 411. That one still is hit. Cass, thanks for the super chat. Amit, do you think all the payment stocks are taking a hit because of PayPal earnings is valid like Fiserv, or is it just PayPal at poor execution? Now, PayPal, apparently he was ousted. The CEO was ousted from the company because he failed to meet internal metrics. I think all the fintech names are getting hit. Fiserv could be a reason. PayPal earnings is just adding to the overall sentiment of fintech being bad, although SoFi had some really good earnings, so I don't know why that sentiment's affecting it. But PayPal in particular, I think, probably deserved to get hit today. Maybe not 20%, but I mean, the guy who was supposed to turn around the company left because he failed to meet metrics, which doesn't really give you a lot of faith in the company. I mean, this stock is basically getting to IPO price at this point. Take a look at this chart. They IPO'd at 29 bucks. It's at 41 after 11 years. So, yeah. Not the best thing in the world. Technical Tuesday, we'll be doing in about 30 minutes after we get through earnings. We're going to be looking for AMD, and then we'll be getting into the technicals. Again, I will link Jose's stream once the call starts, and you guys can listen to the call. I think it's at 5 p.m. on his stream. But we're going to try to get through these numbers and then see where we go from there. EA, is those earnings out? EA is out. EA, wow. Is this real? Is this actually real? EA, market's not reacting to it. They missed EPS by 70%. They missed revenue by 35%. Actual is 1.9 on revenue. Street expected 2.9 billion. They missed by $1 billion. Either the street got it wrong or EA really messed up. Actual EPS was 35 cents. Street expected 148. How is this stock not tanking? Oh, they're going private. Doesn't matter. Yeah, that's a great point. Yeah. It's a great point. They're going private. The Saudis are buying them out. It doesn't matter. All right. So, I mean, these results, that's probably why the results are so bad, because the company's going private. Like, they don't really need to put up public results anymore. Okay. Chipotle. What do we got? CMG. We got a beat and a beat. We got a beat and a beat. Chipotle's down 7%. Chipotle's down 7%. Oh, boy. They beat by 4% on EPS, beat by 1% on revenue, 25 cents versus 24 cents expected, 2.984 versus 2.96 billion on revenue. Double beat. And we are still down. Double beat, and we are still down. With quick coverage right here on Chipotle. We got AMD in about 3 minutes.
6 billion estimated, EPS 25 cents adjusted. That's a penny beat. Comps were down 2.5% in Q4. That's a bit less than the 3% drop that was estimated by analysts. Restaurant margin slightly above estimates at 23.4%, but its full year 2025 same-store sales were down 1.7%. That's its first full year contraction for same-store sales since 2016. But Chipotle's full year revenue did increase 5.4% to $11.9 billion after opening 334 restaurants in the year. It is forecasting here full year comp sales to be about flat versus estimates of up 1.8%. CEO Scott Boatwright noting that the year had a, quote, dynamic consumer backdrop. He did, though, tout the success of its new high protein menu in the release. So we will bring you more updates as we get them. The stock down nearly 11% on this report, guys. Back over to you.
Decline. Kate, keep us posted. Thank you.
Chipotle, 12% down, dude. I mean, is anyone in Chipotle? I don't think any of us are in Chipotle. This is, goodness gracious, not a good sign for the consumer to an extent, but I don't know if this is a consumer story. I think this is a freaking Chipotle story more than anything. Match Group, dating, that stock beat EPS by 17%. These guys own Tinder and Hinge, if I'm not wrong. That's up 8%. Revenue, they beat by 0.5%. 71 cents expected, 83 cents they delivered, and then revenue 878 versus 873. As Match goes up 8% on the day. All right, people are not buying burritos, but they are swiping. So there you go. That's what we're seeing in this economy right now. Where the hell is SMCI? Why don't we have these numbers? Unless they do it at 4:15 as well. Nope, still no SMCI. Might be at 4:30, so we'll keep an eye on that. All right, AMD, here we go. Put in the chat if you are long AMD. And also put in the chat if if this is a big position for you. A lot of retail got in this name back in April. I mean, honestly, before April. A lot of people made a lot of money on it. Lisa Su basically gave up 10% of the company at $158 to OpenAI at $600 if it ever gets there to really pump this stock. Today, she's got to deliver some good results. It'll affect the entire semiconductor ecosystem. And now we're going to see. We're going to see. I see a decent amount of people that are in this long. Again, my pick has been NVIDIA for the past couple of years. But AMD is an incredible company, and both of them should be able to win together if this AI revolution is as big as we think it can become. So here we go. Let us see how this can play out. We've got 17 minutes. I think implied move is 7 to 8%, if I'm not wrong, either up or down. And we should see a reaction pretty quickly. 70% of you say pump, 30% say dump. And then I will try to get all of the numbers. All right, 4:15. We are up. We're green. 3% up. Can it hold 2.9? You got your green candle right there. It's trying to hold. It's trying. 1.4, 1.6. Now we just went red. Let's see how long that red can actually last. Now it's red by 2. It can still reverse red when it's down 2. It can reverse when it's up 2. So realistically, I think we need to see down 3 or down 4% to see if there's an actual trend to the downside. AMD EPS 153 versus 132. That's a beat by 16%. Revenue, it's a beat by 10 or by 6%, 10.27 versus 9.62. EPS is up 40% year over year. Revenue's up 34% year over year. That's a double beat. It's a double beat. Double beat on AMD. I mean, this is what you would want to see if you're an AMD shareholder. They're guiding for Q1 revenue of $9.8 billion. I don't know what the expectation was on the guide. Let me try to find that out. But the guide is 9.8, which is good, I believe. AMD now down 2. Gross margins at 54%. I think that's better than expected. EPS, again, they beat 153 versus 132. Revenue was 10.27 versus 962. It's kind of flat, to be honest. I mean, up 2%, down 2% is not really a super volatile move for a company like AMD. AMD also had a little bit of, I mean, AMD was $200 3 weeks ago, right? Or 2 weeks ago. So it's at 240 today. So if you got it a couple weeks ago, you're not that upset. 235 though. Now we're seeing some more downside. Now we're seeing some more red. 3% down. Let's get some more coverage on AMD. Let's pull this up right here.
190 million in revenue from Instinct MI308 sales. That's a specific chip that AMD designed specifically for the Chinese market that wasn't included in AMD's original guidance. Those gross margin numbers as well also got a boost from the reversal of a $360 million in inventory charges that AMD took earlier in the year related to China. So they reversed it. So that helped gross margins. These are one-time items, though, that analysts weren't necessarily aware of and didn't include in their estimates nor their models, making it a lot harder to gauge just how AMD actually performed against expectations, which is why I'm just reading you the numbers. I'm not saying if it was a beat or a miss just based on those 2 points in regards to China, guys.
I mean, it looks like they still beat with China. I'm trying to get some more details here from AMD, but market doesn't like it, folks. She's down. Oh boy. Where is NVIDIA in the midst of this? NVIDIA got a pump right at the close. Dude, think about all the people that were freaking buying NVIDIA right into the close, and now they're red. I mean, again, this is just the nature of how these stocks move together. NVIDIA now losing 180 again. It was pumping a 181 after hours right before AMD reported. AMD 5% down, solid 5% down. Now 6% down. Okay, now it's getting ugly. Now it's getting ugly. The street expected $9.39 billion of Q1 revenue. AMD's guiding 9.5 to 10.1. So that's a beat on the low end of the guidance and a beat on the high end of the guidance, which is good. That's not bad. It's either a beat by 100 million or a beat by 700 million. So street shouldn't be too upset about that. Let me see if I can get some more numbers here. Let's get to their website. Triple beat down 5%. Yeah. I mean, see, that's the scary part about this market right now. Like, if you don't put up Palantir types of numbers, your stock's going down. And Palantir had to beat guidance by $1 billion for the fiscal year. Like, that's just not easy to do. And proportionally to companies at a bigger size, they would have to beat by like 3 or 4 billion just based on the revenue. Like, and that's, I think, part of the reason Palantir stayed green in the SaaS carnage today. But my goodness, AMD down 5%. SMCI, I still don't have the numbers on SMCI. I still don't have it. I don't know if SMCI is at 430, but still not up yet. Enphase, are we holding up? Enphase is actually up 4% now. Not too bad. Not too bad. It was red. Now it's up. Lumentum, that's up 12%. AMD down 5.3. Chipotle down 7.6. Amgen's up 1.6. Amgen's down up 1.6. Silicon Labs up 34% based on that Texas Instruments buyout. Match Group's up 12. EA's flat. Doesn't matter too much. They're getting bought out. SMCI now down 1%. Take-Two's up 4. They beat on the top and the bottom as well. But AMD is the story right here. Down about 5%. Here's the website. Let's go through the numbers a bit more in depth. Lisa Su says 2025 was a defining year for AMD with record revenue and earnings driven by strong execution and broad-based demand for our high-performance AI platforms. We are entering 2026 with strong momentum across our business, led by accelerating adoption of our high-performance EPYC and Ryzen CPUs and the rapid scaling of our data center AI franchise. Our record fourth quarter and full year results demonstrates AMD's ability to deliver profitable growth at scale. We achieved record non-GAAP operating income and free cash flow while increasing our strategic investments to support long-term growth across our high-performance and adaptive computing product portfolio. Revenues up 34%, gross profits up 44%, gross margins 51 to 54. I mean, pretty damn good for a hardware company. NVIDIA's at like 73. I believe OpEx is up 27%, but revenue is growing at 34%, which is not too bad. Operating income's up 101%. Operating margin up 6%. Also not too bad. That's a 600 basis point increase on operating margin, which sounds cooler than saying a 6% increase. I mean, they increase operating margins by 600 basis points, and the street is taking it down 5%, which is not really giving them any credit on their operating leverage. 482 to 1.5 on net income. That's up 213% as well. I mean, these aren't bad numbers. These aren't horrible numbers. 440 million in net inventory as a related charge to the U.S. government's export control on AMD. Data center revenue was up 40% year over year, 5.4 billion. Client and gaming, 3.9 billion, up 37%. The stock is now still down 4.5%. I mean, the part that you care about, data centers, that's up 40%. So why exactly is the street so upset right here? I don't know. It's a little weird, folks. A little bit of a weird market. AMD is probably going to take down NVIDIA with it. Yeah, NVIDIA's getting taken down. But AMD, I mean, Lisa could say something on the call to get this to recover. 4% is not that crazy. But if it stays in that 4 or 5% negative range, then obviously it's going to be a little tough. All the semis are down. What was SMH today? It was probably down 2%, right? 2.5%. SMH 397.68 after hours. Broadcom, is that going down after hours? Broadcom, yup, down another 1% after hours. Oracle, is that getting hit? Oracle as well, going a little red. Amcor, how about that one? Amcor going red after hours on AMD. AMD is a big one. Nothing they've said is highlighting any negativity in the broader AI trade. At least that's not what I'm seeing here. So it is confusing, to say the least. Micron, yeah, where's that one? Micron's down 0.5%. It was down 5%. SanDisk is down, but it still rebounded up 5% during the day, even though Micron was flat. The outlook is from Bloomberg. The outlook of AMD is letting down investors who had hoped to see a bigger payoff from AI compute spending. AMD is still playing catch up with NVIDIA in this lucrative market, but the chip maker has said that a new, more powerful design due in the second half of the year will give them the advantage. So Bloomberg is saying that the street wanted a bigger beat, basically. I mean, we all want a bigger beat, but it was not like it was a horrible beat. Wow, Bloomberg really running with this headline. AMD outlook disappoints investors seeking bigger AI payoff. If AMD is disappointing, NVIDIA, oh my, they better step their game up for this Q4. I mean, AMD's beat right here was by how much on EPS? 16% beat was not enough for the street. It's not a small company. 16% beat is, if that was not enough, what, NVIDIA's going to need a 40% beat or something? Like, and NVIDIA is the most analyzed company on the planet, so it's not easy for them to beat earnings because the analysts keep upping the targets. Huh. That's confusing, dude. It's pretty confusing. And we're trying to get a better understanding of this. I think, is that all the earnings that we got? Enphase, that one's holding on after hours. AMD still getting hit. Amgen, that's up 1%. Light is up 9%. AMD, though, not that bad. 3.6 could easily reverse. So, I mean, it's not like 10% down or anything, but that's down 3.6%. And then Enphase up 4%. Dude, Bloomberg's crazy. AMD gave a disappointing forecast for the current period, a sign it's not making the kind of AI inroads that some investors anticipating. 16% EPS beat, not enough. I mean, I guess the street wanted more. SMCI canceled the earnings call today. Do you actually know that, or are you just saying that? Well, let's see their website. If they canceled it, it'll be the most SMCI thing they could ever do. Well, SMCI to report second quarter fiscal results on February 3rd, 2026. If I'm not wrong, today is February 3rd, 2026. Conference calls at 5 p.m. This is their website I'm looking at. Yeah, no, the webcast is still scheduled for today at 5 p.m. Still scheduled for 5 p.m., folks. It would help to have the results before the conference call. That would be nice. Let's give it 4 minutes. Let's see if it comes out at 4:30. If not, then we are going to move on to Technical Tuesday. All right, if you want the AMD call, Jose, who's a good friend of mine, he covers semiconductors very well. Why is Trump live right now? Dude, what? This guy, every day going live. Jose's live. I'm going to link his channel. He will be listening to the call, and you can be with him for the call. But in a couple minutes, we'll be getting into technicals and trying to see what's happening with the broader market. What is Trump signing? He's signing a new bill. Let me pull this up. Let's see. What is this? We'll see if we get SMCI in 3 minutes.
Aid spending, giving money to countries that don't need it. They have plenty of money. And we ended that. That was so important, $10 billion. Think of it. It continues the closure of USAID and creates a brand new America First opportunity.
Oh, shut down. Okay, so this is keeping the government open, I believe, for the next few weeks while they negotiate on the DHS stuff.
Fund for responsibly providing foreign assistance to nations where it actually serves American interests. So we have nations that do help us and it serves our interests. So we have something to help them out with. This bill also cuts funding to abusive and weaponized IRS programs. I was a victim of that too. You probably read that. Did you read that recently? Right? For sure. I was, I guess, the ultimate victim. That were used to harass American taxpayers. It builds on the Republican rescissions package passed last summer, which saved Americans billions and billions of dollars. It fully funds our military, includes a well-deserved pay raise for all American service members, and makes historic investments in the American shipbuilding industry, which is great. We're really starting to do something incredible with shipbuilding. And I don't know if you saw that the United States of America, for the first time in over 30 years, beat Japan. We love Japan, great country, but their power in steel making, that we produce more steel this year than Japan. Think of that, more steel than Japan, and Japan is a powerhouse at that. And we were pretty much dead when it came to steel. So what do you think of that? And then, to me, when I heard that, we did more than Japan.
Okay. We got a minute. Let's see if we get SMCI. The shutdown stuff is being signed. Markets don't really. Wow, AMD down 5. Still down 5. Markets don't really care about this shutdown stuff. Otherwise, I think we would have seen a bigger bounce. It feels like it's relatively priced in. AWS CEO says at the Cisco AI Summit, we are pretty far from what is needed for space-based data centers. AWS CEO saying we are pretty far from what is needed for space-based data centers. I mean, he's probably right about that, but that narrative is very important for SpaceX and their IPO. So you're probably going to hear a lot more about that over the coming months. Maddie, thank you for the super chat. Great to meet you over the weekend. You're the man, Amit. Maddie Gersh, thank you for being here. Thank you for showing up to the meetup. It was awesome to see you. And yeah, appreciate everyone who was at the meetup in New York over the weekend. Cash, thanks for the super chat. Is solar finally turning bullish after capitulating over the past 5 years? You know, I don't think we're in the regulatory environment for it to turn bullish. I know that obviously we need a lot more energy and solar is a good source of energy, but with gas prices as low as they are, I don't know if the, I guess, residential demand for solar is going to be there. Now, maybe the commercial demand and the data center demand should be there, but I would like to go a little bit deeper into Enphase's earnings to see what they're saying about that. SMCI earnings should be out now, folks. We'll give it 2 minutes. If it's not out, then we're just moving on. But I know people care about this one, so let's see if we get earnings. Any thoughts on the shutdown? Well, the shutdown is now over, at least for now. So it should not be something that the market really cares deeply about. I think we've been going red for a variety of different reasons, and those reasons are not conclusive enough to be a single point of reference, which I think is the most confusing part about all this. Wow, Enphase did just enter commercial for the first time this quarter, huh? I will go through Enphase's earnings. I will actually listen to their call. I'm really curious what they have to say about solar. Because it's so obvious to me, if you're a solar company, go into data centers. Like, if I'm the Enphase CEO, I pivot the entire company to data centers and be like, let's do a deal with Meta, let's do a deal with Google. You know, Sam Altman's phone is always open to talk to. Like, let's get some freaking AI into this solar company and ride this data center trend. So that is interesting that maybe they're starting to enter the commercial sector. All right, SMCI, I don't see the numbers. I don't see the numbers. I do not see the numbers. Corteva reported earnings. I don't know what the heck Corteva is, but that stock, they came in line with EPS. They missed on revenue by 7%. That stock's down 5%. This is a $50 billion company. I should probably know what Corteva is. Chemicals company. Corteva Agriscience. American company devoting to products for seeds and crop protection fertilizer. Okay, they do $17 billion in revenue, $50 billion market cap, price of sales of 3. They missed on revenue by 7%, 3.9 versus 4.2. Revenue's down 2% year over year. EPS is down 31% year over year, but they came in line at 22 cents. Corteva, that stock's down 5% after hours. AMD still feeling the pain, down 5.4. SMCI is down 1. But I do not see the earnings. I do not see the earnings. Oracle officially files up for the 20 billion share offering. So they're raising 20 billion of equity. So if you're buying Oracle stock right now, just know that you're buying it and they're taking that money and piling it into data centers. They're dumping 20 billion into the markets. I'm sure there will be buyers for it, but obviously that's why the stock has been taking a hit. Wow, AMD, velocity of the sell-off is increasing. We're down 7%. Oh, boy. Did they just say something? Did something just happen? You see that red candle? That red from 228 to 225 is now getting a little more aggressive. SMCI is still nothing. But AMD still down. Yes, AMD did report. They beat EPS by 16%, beat revenue by 5%. Street doesn't seem to care. Let's get a little bit more coverage on this one. AMD got 400 million of Q4 sales from China. 400 million of Q4 sales from China. Is that bearish? Is that why the street's taking it down more? MI308 AI chip, 400 million Q4 was from China.
Tina.
Yeah, so I have the guidance for the company. And so they posted revenues guide, or Q1, I should say, at 9.8 billion, which is higher than sell side estimates, slightly higher than buy side estimates. And then their non-GAAP Q1 gross margins coming in at 55%. The street was expecting 54.5. So perhaps this sell-off of 3% has to do with just these results being slightly above the street expectations. And also just to note, the stock over the last 6 months has run up about 41% compared to NVIDIA at only 4% and Broadcom at 11%. So there was definitely a lot priced into this earnings report and perhaps some sell the news right now. Guys?
Christina, thanks. Christina Partsinevelis. Staying with chips, NVIDIA under pressure once again.
I mean, I guess the outlook was just not good enough for the street right here. I don't think the China thing is bearish. AMD projects 100 million of first quarter sales from the older MI308 chip. I believe that's for China, or that just might be the MI308 in general. Maybe that's what took it down. Like they did 400 million from the MI308 in Q4. They're projecting 100 million from the MI308 in Q1. So you have that decline quarter to quarter, although I don't think that matters that much because it's the older chip. But AMD down 6.5%. SMCI is down 2%, but I do not have earnings for this one. At this point, we're just going to move on. Maybe it comes out at 5, guys. I think it's a little weird if it comes out at 5 and the call starts at 5. That's not how public companies tend to report their numbers. But for those that care about SMCI, you're going to have to wait till 5 o'clock for those numbers. Why is the S&P Global down 11.5% today? I don't know. Same thing with Moody's. Moody's is a big Berkshire stock. I mean, that thing doesn't move 10% in a day. You've got a lot of long-term investors that hold that name. Same thing with SP and SPGI. So it's weird. It's weird to say the least. All right. So I know I'm going to have to repeat myself, but I'm saying it once again. We are not streaming the AMD call. I have a good friend. I'm going to send you to his channel right now. If you deeply care about listening to this call, you can listen to it there. Not everyone here is an AMD investor, so I don't want everyone to sit through listening to this call. We got the results. You can go to Jose's channel. He will definitely be streaming the call. So I will not be streaming the AMD call. But we will be looking at AMD technicals and a lot of other technicals and get some thoughts technically on where the market is going. If you don't care about technical analysis, that's fine. If you do, we'll get some thoughts here. And if you kind of are interested in just, looking at charts and patterns and seeing kind of what momentum might be happening to the downside or the upside, then that's what we're going to get into with the technicals. All right. Having said that, now you guys are just trolling, asking if I'm doing the AMD call. I feel like this is going to happen for the next hour. Everyone's going, hey, where's the AMD call? We're not streaming it. You can listen to it on Jose's channel, but we're going to try to figure out technically what's happening in this market because it is time for Technical Tuesday, which means we have to roll the intro.
What's up, buddy?
Not the stock market.
Are we streaming the AMD call? You guys know, that is Amit's favorite call to listen to, by the way. Actually not. I remember a year ago, or maybe the last couple of years, he's like, every time, we're not listening to the AMD call, guys. We're not listening. I'm like, okay.
Once people listen to the first 20 minutes of it, they'll realize why I hate that call.
You do hate the call. That's the one call you hate.
I'm not gonna explain why, but once you start listening to it, you will realize why I hate that call. But dude, let's get into it. I know we got a lot of people today that are wondering your thoughts about the technicalities of this market. We got a lot to talk about with Hood and NVIDIA and obviously AMD, but I think let's start with the S&P.
Today too, are we in a rush, by the way? Do you have a hard?
I have a hard stop at 7:15, but we have plenty of time until that. So
that's 4:15 my time.
Yeah, so we got about 3 hours. Should be good.
Okay. Let's see. Screen share. Still got my cough drops in.
Yeah, how are you feeling? Last week you were.
I'm feeling better. I last time I met you down here, I had that crazy cough. I get it once every 2 years.
Yeah.
It's about that time. So that's where we are. It's a weird day today. I'll tell you what, do you guys realize at the open, we were, pennies away from all-time highs of the S&P?
I remember.
And then 5 minutes later, you're like, wait, what's going on? It did not feel like that at all. But yeah, I think this is where we are. We've been talking about this for a while, this little gray box. I'll go ahead and start the timer. Timer here is on the top left. For anybody that's wondering, it's because I yap a lot. Amit gets on my case, but we try to keep pace for you guys. But what this is non-farm payrolls for January. And really, we do not have a trend. So I keep hearing this thing, people are like, oh, we're super bullish market. From a technical perspective, this is super neutral market. It's not bullish. It's not bearish. It's just neutral. It's choppy. There are certain stocks in the market that are absolutely bearish, no question about it. And there are certain stocks in the market that are actually still bullish. So between all that, I think that's the quote unquote broadening that we've been seeing over the last 6 months plus. And at the index level, the S&P is neutral, but the Qs, little bit of a different story. We went over a lot of this yesterday, or last week. But at the end of the day, look, what we're doing, we're just traveling through this gray box one way or the other till we have that full day open and close, entire days trading above. We're just not going higher. And even today, we're opening at the highs, 697. Look, this was that previously broken near-term trend. Again, not making new highs, instantly selling off at the close. I think people are just getting positioned for this week's as of yesterday, we were not getting non-farm payrolls on Friday. I don't know where we are at this moment in terms of getting
we might get them because the government just opened, but I don't know if it's going to happen by this Friday, to be honest.
So I'm not counting on it. But what I will say is that if you use so we have an indicator, right? I always use these NFP levels, but this is all automated, these lines. If you use ours, then actually this is in the new version. Make sure you go get your updated version. We have ADP in there also, because in the absence of NFP, the market has, and will use ADP, which comes out tomorrow. Assuming we don't get NFP. Whenever that comes in, that's going to determine the trend. But you can see pretty clearly here, these white lines. At no point have we had a single full days open and close above. So to me and our system, that's just chopping, right? Downside here is 682, which is honestly like these are the two downside areas right in here. And quite frankly, we nearly got there already. For now, we have, we actually have an open above, but we have a close basically below. What I would say is, I don't think that this is, a couple of weeks ago, I said, like, we're shorting the whole. We're close there, but not quite. So maybe we get a little bit more downside, but things can change. We have big time earnings coming. Google, Amazon, I think are going to be pretty game changing for the Qs. But net, the trend is decidedly neutral on SPY. So it's not up. If you're confused with that, it's not down either. It's in a resting phase. So like, if you like to sell premium, this is the time to do that. Sell it towards the highs until we have that next non-farm payroll day. So I wouldn't actually be surprised tomorrow if we see this SPY up at 695, only to get rejected one more time back down to 685 or something like that. But so coming into this, we also said there's going to be a lot of volatility. This is exactly that. This is a day trader's paradise and a swing trader's nightmare, essentially, type of market, unless you're in the right things. But for right now, just hold tight. It's not, we're not falling out just yet, but things can. We have AMD, or not AMD. We have Amazon and we have Google that are really going to make a big difference here. So I'll finish this out on Qs, very similar. So quite frankly, this is like a barcode. Like if you go to the store and you scan the barcode, that's kind of like what this chart looks like near term. How long have we been here, dude? Like
basically a month. I feel
3 months actually. So Qs closing at 613. We're at this exact price in October. So you can't say it's in an uptrend from that perspective, and you definitely can't say it's in a downtrend from that perspective either. This is how markets move. They don't go in straight lines. Most of the time they go sideways. This just happens to be that. So I don't think it's time to panic anything. I think that needs to be said, because certain things do feel like they're a little bit stretched to the downside. But at the same time, what we're seeing underneath the market is generally speaking somewhat healthy. Like today, even on Qs, this is, and I'm going over just a little bit. These are our levels here. If you're in the group, you know what these are, or if you've been watching for forever, you know what these are. This is the NFP high, 627.88. We open above, but we instantly fail below. Downside would be 619. That's target, but below that, the next level is 613, which we today, technically speaking, opened above and closed above this level. So I don't actually think, unless there's anything, maybe a Trump tweet or something like that, I don't think that we're going much further down from here. This would be the lower end of the range, if you will, having just come off the top of the range. So to me, when you're in a trading range like this, what we say is like you trade the edges, and towards the lows is where you would want to be long as a trader, and take profits, definitively take profits towards the highs. So expect any of this. The 627 absolutely going to be resistance, at least until we get those non-farm payrolls. But even then, that's still the 627 on Qs, absolutely going to be resistance. If we start breaking down, the next level below us is 607s, and then we'll have to see from there. But I don't see a major breakdown yet. This is definitely going sideways long enough to think that a big move is coming. But hey, welcome to February. By the way, this is pretty typical for Februarys. There's a lot of I would say like indiscriminate selling sometimes. And yeah, we are at risk if we do continue lower, but again, it's not there's plenty of time to make major decisions here. That's my 2 cents.
Okay, so we're gonna get to all or as many audience requests as we can, guys. We're gonna try to just do the main tickers and get them out of the way, especially the more volatile ones.
Yeah, can I preface that too? Sorry, if you want to know what's really going on in the market, because we're in a bit of a transition phase, it's probably going to be better to request larger cap stocks right now, because the more impact that specific stock has on the index, I mean, the more impact that it's going to have across the board. So if we're requesting like APLD, ONDOS, we can do that. EOSE, we can absolutely do that. But it might be better to think about it from a sector to sector specific perspective, because those stocks will be kind of whipsawy right now in general.
Agreed.
Or
so
FUBO.
Yeah, no FUBO. Yeah, no, that's a good point. We really should not do super small companies because it's just not going to have a major impact. Let's do this one first. I know a lot of people are asking about this, and obviously, I'm sure you have some thoughts. Robinhood, what do you think about this?
What's that, right? Because I had it typed out. So my hoodie, where's my shoot? You know, I had a different chart, I guess. So this is the downtrend channel that we kind of outlined before. This is that area that I wanted to see hold, did not hold. We were pretty explicit about this. And I think that if you've been watching this, then you would have seen this coming. That's a good thing. Let me reset this timer here. That said, we are at like the first key level to me, key level. It's not, it could breach this level right now, but this is what I would call like a price of interest almost. So this is going to be the prior all-time high. This is from IPO. Did you know this? About $85. When Robinhood IPO'd, we get that first kind of push higher. $85 thereabouts is right where that comes on. And I know I don't have the chart over here yet. There's for a reason. But as we move into this, we also have this, this right here is a retracement that is like this kind of larger dashed line on my screen. Essentially what this is, as I try to clean up the rest of this 91.22, and I'll take this down, but this 91.12 is 50% from this low, $28 low, to this high, 155. If we lose the prior all-time high 85 and we stay below 91, systematically, I will just say this, we have a pretty high probability of seeing the low 70s.
Yeah.
From a statistical perspective, just trading statistics. But this right here, 85 happens to be a price of interest. So I already had limit orders set to like start rebuying some shares or buying more shares at 91 and 85, which did go through. So again, this is a trading show, so you have your trading hat on. I know this is a lot of investors here. Robinhood happens to be more of an investment for me than a trade. But I would say like at this point, moving forward, if you have a long enough time horizon, you can start probably nibbling from here. So again, I do think that we can see 72, 73, 75s. That doesn't have to happen. But like we talked about last week, look, if you have a target that's $1 trillion market cap, you don't really care about 90 to 85 to $75. So the only thing I'd preface that with is, you never try to snipe the low, like the actual low. But you just have these price of interest. So as they get into here, and I just started kind of nibbling. So to me, this would be one buy, this would be another buy, and this would be another buy. And as the lower that you go, the higher your size would get from an investing perspective, which means that you cannot blow your load too early, right? No premature allocation. You just got to nibble a little bit at a time if you're interested in it. But to that prior all-time high point, kind of interesting that we stopped almost at a dime, like on the dime right here. So 84.98 price of interest. What I will say is a counter trend bounce, because there should be no mistaking this. Hood is in a near-term downtrend. Upside resistance remains 110, and that's about where we broke down from before. So a counter trend bounce, and I'm using that terminology very implicitly here, like explicitly to say, just know that this is, if you're putting money in here, it could look good for a while, especially if it gets over 91, which is what I would say this is definitively going to happen. 90 to 110 is very likely to happen. And that's still a counter trend bounce. That's a lot of percentage, but in order for this to really be back in play, we need to see well over 120s, and anything below that is going to be counter trend, which is fine. Just know that, hey, you're coming up into resistance. People might be a little, you might have sellers above you that could step in if you do buy something like this. So remember, reversals, true reversals, real reversals usually start at the 20-day SMA, which is currently still above the 200. We have not had our death cross yet. So this is why I'm saying we could still see the 70s, low 70s. And before then, we could see a counter trend bounce all the way up to 110, maybe even 115, and then still see 70 something after that. So just be cautious with Hood. I think this is going to be something that might take a little bit longer to turn around. But again, if you're an investor, I don't think that you should be too concerned about that. But down in this, $80 to $70 level, is interesting from an equity perspective long-term to me. Plus, earnings are like in less than 7 days. I mean, it's come down pretty hot and heavy. I'm pretty sure they're going to cover some shorts before we actually see earnings. That's my 2 cents.
Okay, before we continue, we do have SMCI earnings. That stock is up 10% after hours. SMCI right here, 12.7 billion versus 10.2 billion. So that's a pretty hefty beat on revenue, almost $2 billion beat. EPS 69 cents versus 49 cents. That's a 20-cent beat. Their gross margins are down a little bit compared to the expectation, 6.4 versus 6.5 expected. But Street likes it. It was at around $32 last week. So it's kind of getting back to the same price it was at last week. But it's up 8% on these results. Obviously, it's good for the semiconductor ecosystem to see these smaller companies put up these types of beats. And this is a pretty big beat. We'll probably get some more guidance from the call on exactly what else they're seeing. But it's not bad. $2 billion revenue beat, 20-cent EPS beat. They see fiscal year net sales of $40 billion. I think that's also ahead of expectations. And that stock's now up 8% after hours.
You guys are hilarious. SMCI to the moon. I mean,
I agree with you on Hoodie. I think the hedge we talked about back in the end of December was a really good strategy. We got the benefit from it.
Yeah.
Are you concerned at all about earnings here, or you think?
Well, no, like I said, I think the setup for Hood is actually pretty good for earnings. Clearly, the market's just like poo-pooing all over a Hoodie right now. So, I think it's more of like a PE perspective. If we're really concerned about that, it's not a cheap stock by typical metrics. I don't think that the market could. I mean, if they start valuing Robinhood like a brokerage and not a tech company, I mean, that's all I'm really seeing. And I think that could potentially put us in those low 70s. I don't have it in my bingo card to be lower than that. And if it is lower than that, then we're in some deep shit, dude. But but until then, I mean, that's all I have on my radar for a pullback, which is, it's a rough pullback, but it's actually somewhat typical for some pretty high beta fintechs. So from that perspective, no, I'm more thinking of like uncover some calls, buy them back, and in the meantime, before I do that, I'm just kind of nibbling at equity. Yeah. And I might not even buy the short calls back. I might just keep them there, let those get called away, and be replaced essentially with the equity that I've been picking at.
Right. Can we do Bitcoin and ETH for the next 5 minutes? Let's see what's going on there.
Yeah, I saw a 7 handle on Biddy. There she is. This is our chart, I believe. 73.
It's 72.9 today as well.
Yeah, so 69s are available, but this is this is support. So now we're coming into, it's still super thin structure, but this is general support. The ticker I'm using is on Binance, so it's not like this is like more like where the OGs are. OGs are at 20K for their heavy volume, but yeah, you're coming into the first like primary support, which is just under that 70K, right around 70. So anything in here for now, what I would say is if Bitcoin were to get back over 78, let me just make sure this measurement's right. What was I measuring here? Okay, so this is from this low to this high. So that this is from 50 or about 50K where you bought it. Do you still own it?
Bitcoin? I mean, yeah.
Yeah, the first time, like one of the first times we were streaming, I was like, just buy it right now. And it was like 48.
Yeah, but it was like $100 worth of it.
Well, anyways, if you still have that, you'd be green. But it's from that kind of pivot low to this swing high, swing low, swing high. So where Bitcoin is here is if it gets back over 78.5, essentially it's this box right here, which is going to line you up right around, right around 78, call it 78.5 for good measure. Then we should see 87.5 pretty quickly. Same kind of logic as we always use for trading. But that is where you're going to run into resistance. Just FYI. That resistance is here, which was a prior support, kind of goes in here. So that's why that would be resistance, because this was support. And any kind of bounce into, you should expect, similar to hoodie, where you should expect some people that are maybe caught in longs up here that want to get out, they might sell right into you. But if it can get over that, then the next range, which is what I was kind of hoping for before, would be over, it's up to 95s right now, but if it got over that 97, then we're still seeing that 109 as a potential next move.
And ETH,
but it would have to do that. Let's see.
Tom said 2,400 would be the bottom.
What? Dude, tell Tommy, give me a call, dude. If you need somebody to help out, DeMarc, whoever, I got him.
I mean, I think you've been saying 1,800 might be closer.
Yeah. Yeah. So the 26, I didn't realize that we lost that 26. So this 26, yeah. So this 26 here was a good kind of trading spot to bounce. We got a bounce. It just went right back in that consolidation. Here we're outside of the consolidation. So at this point, you're pretty much expecting 18s. Yeah, from this broader. It is what it is. So you're 21 here. Do you expect 18s? I guess that's a hard call, man. I'm just not super interested in this. Yeah, I don't see any volume really showing up until 18.5. But that's this green little box right here. This is a small area. But like, again, if you're thinking long-term and you're thinking from a trend count perspective, let's see. So like, if this is like, if this is your high, I guess you kind of have like an equal high, which means that this is going to be your low. This is your last low. So a higher low can show up anywhere in here if you're looking for something like that. So it's from here to there, but you really don't want to lose this. This is about, what is that?
I feel like it's gonna go below 2,000, dude. I feel like it just wants to at this point. Like if the S&P were to take a 5% drop, it's almost undoubtedly, right? Same with Bitcoin, probably below 70 at that point.
I mean, and then we'd probably be looking at sub 15, which is, I think, probably definitely a buy, but
no, that
would retest this high over here. But no, it's not in an uptrend. It's in a near-term downtrend. I say near-term as in within the last 9 months, clearly downtrend. But this is the hopium. If you're going to pack a hopium pipe and smoke it, is somewhere in here. But in truth, this really goes down to here to me. So it's 1850. And anyways, like what's at this point, what's 2180 versus 8? It's like $300, $400 a token. I mean, yeah. Do you really care?
Palantir.
So I didn't read the manifesto, but that was one hell of a letter, dude. So Palantir wants to save itself. Do we have any like military action happening right now or anything like that? Did I catch that or no?
And there's some Iranian stuff. We shot down one of their drones.
Okay. So you're still testing support. The issue here is that even though, you want to be bullish, this is not a bullish bounce. This is still in a downtrend. And it's a counter trend bounce. So your trend is down right now. Here's your channel. I wish I had better news for you guys. You kind of just tag the top of the channel today here, which again, a trend meaning near term is a series of higher lows or like lower lows and lower highs in this instance. So high, lower high. Here's the prior low, lower low, lower high, lower high, lower low, lower high. Definitely lost low, lower low, still a lower high. So this has to get over this 170 area and hold with conviction, which was that prior support here. Otherwise, you're still at risk for the same. So this is testing. Best case scenario, I think Palantir would go sideways for a while. But this is not an earning bounce to get excited with. So the way that earnings works is pretty straightforward from a systematic perspective, is that you have like one shot to break the absolute highs. So if you really want to watch this, it's 165.74. I'll call that a break of structure, or BOS for short. It can test the lows and bounce, so it could do this. But on the next attempt to get over 165, it's very important that Palantir would actually get through that 165. If it doesn't, a typical move for a typical stock is actually sideways action for like 45 days. Which
wouldn't be crazy at all.
No, I was actually going to say that it would not be crazy. and that might not be bad either, right? So if Palantir does go sideways for about 48, so this one not breaking down, right? Breakdown is below 148s in strength, but I think realistically, you get one shot at breaking the 165.75 highs right now. It should, the next attempt to go higher, Palantir actually should get there to the highs, but we want to see it really breach. I had a trade on today that was very similar to that on Corning. So we talked about Corning last week. I like Corning. Big move. It actually got like right there. So that one I'm still kind of watching. That one has, I'm going to give it a little bit of leeway, but yeah, it's got to break through that first real attempt for whatever that high was that it marked. And
the downside target you're saying is 130. That's what you think it gets to, or
no, like 80s, 85. So like I would have to do if so we don't want to go that low, but I would say 143 is your level here. So in realist, like you don't really talk that far out in terms of trading different than investment. So forget about the 85s for a second. But if this ends up being like a big breakdown, this is technically very heavy. If it loses, I'd say 143, what I can easily see happening and realistically seeing happen is down to 125 into 120s and retesting this prior high and this kind of area of support before. That's your next spot. So that's all we can say from a trading perspective. That's it. I can't say 85, right? I can say 85 if we're trending below 120, but we have to go level to level. So this is how trading works. So one level to the next, we can forecast, but we can't say that this is happening until we're, if this, then that. If below 120, then sure. But until then, this area around 145 to 150, this whole area, this is actually your support. And that is, that's a pretty good from this swing low to this swing high. That's a 50% retracement, 143.37. And if we lose that 143, cool. I can see 125s, give or take. But that's all she wrote, right, from a downside perspective. So that would be the next spot I would be interested in. 125 on Palantir is going to be pretty much the equivalent of 85 on Robinhood.
I agree. I think one thing also is because Palantir put up such amazing earnings, I think that can protect from getting their butt if the S&P corrects 10%. Yeah. Table.
Yeah. And again, 85 would be, I think I would have to buy it, actually.
I think people would be buying it in the 120s.
Yeah, this would be stupid to me, but the market is stupid sometimes and does a lot of stupid stuff. But this is typical in the 125, 120s. If we can't get over this 165 to 170, AMD all-time high. Oh, it's a retest right now on AMD as my alert's going off.
Yeah, and again, look, there's a difference between technicals and fundamentals. Obviously, fundamentally,
completely different.
The company put up some really good results. It's just at the end of the day, Jason is right. And I think I saw a lot of people talk about this yesterday. We needed to hold above 160, if not 165, and we really failed at that today. Which means the results could be amazing, but if it's can't reach certain levels, then it is what it is. And the question simply becomes, can we hold on to these levels now?
Yeah, it's just sentiment. Do we get re-rated? You look across the market, and quite frankly, if you're not aware of this, defensive names are doing really well. I say like defensive as in like consumer staples, Pepsi, Coke, like all-time high kind of things.
Walmart, Trillion.
So that just tells us where are we in the risk appetite cycle. We've talked about this ad nauseum for, I think, for many months, that midterm year. If there's a dip to be bought, be patient this year. And it's probably not until October, the eating season of 2026. But I'll tell you what, that's going to be big dip buys for your boy. So I have ammo at the ready, but I do know that this midterm year, this is what we're talking about. And here we are in February, which is sometimes a bit of indiscriminate selling, which, turns into bouncy kind of like choppy market action. But there are a lot of things in like solid uptrends right now or reversals. Can you just look at AMD? Oh, shoot.
Oh, yeah, let's do AMD first, then we'll do NVIDIA. Go ahead.
Okay, cool. So AMD, this is our AMD chart. 227, I just got this alert right now. Is this prior all-time high right now? So this pullback, and I heard you guys watching this call. When you zoom out a little bit, this is zoomed out. It's not bad. I think on my end, we had looked at like what to do with the AMD position, and it was like sell September 260 calls, I think it was, which manufactured basically a $300 plus exit, which would have been the target anyways. But AMD decidedly also still in that consolidation phase. So a little double toppy, not gonna lie, right here. So that's the one scary piece. 227 is that prior all-time high. This is the pivot that we've been talking about for months. The low end of the box was in here, but honestly, this could be as simple as a breakout, retest, consolidate, and back on your merry way. So from a chart perspective, nothing wrong with AMD right here, right now. Quite frankly, this is one that's almost like Intel, like where I would say if you watch this tomorrow and probably not this week, but next week to see if it can hold this 227, this is going to be more constructive than downtrend to me. But trading the edges, this is like selling area, which means that the buying area is going to be closer to this prior, like what is it, like 215, 210s. And then if it does break down, this is where I would probably get a little bit more interested retesting this prior top over here. But yeah, if this plays out from a technical perspective, let's say if you were super bearish, because we want to be bullish, most people are bullish by nature. If this is what we would call a double top, essentially what you do is you find your neckline of that right here, double it, boom, there's your buy zone right in here, which is the same level that we've been talking about for a while. So a full-blown Blake breakdown still brings us to 185s anyways on AMD.
Okay, and then NVIDIA?
NVIDIA, dude, I was like 190 something up here was Monday.
Yep.
Right into resistance, dude. I'm like, I thought this could at least get to like 193s and kind of test this. Did not happen. So this is our box right here. If you bring this down just a little bit, see this prior consolidation. This is Monday's kind of push higher, fills a session gap or a weekend gap. Is what we call it. I call it session gap right here. So from the actual overnight 189.90 happens to be a session gap. Does not close above that. So that's what would need to have, that's what would had to have happened. I would have needed to see some follow through over 189.90. But something happened at the close of Monday. I don't know. I don't know if Amit sold his shares or what's going on, but a little breakdown here. This 189. Hang on a second. That's too much reaction.
We saw 176, I think, today.
189. There's too much reaction here to say that's just a session gap thing. Look at this.
Well, there was that OpenAI headline yesterday that maybe the street reacted to, but
I'm just saying, technically speaking, this 189 spot is a beast of a technical spot. Like, look at this. All that. What am I missing right now? That's a massive order block. Do we see selling orders resting up there? I feel like this looks like there's a resting seller up in that 190 area. And maybe they're trading the range because the range is down to those 170s. But what I will say is that this was the last bottom, double bottom. See, he has me on the bottom and he's up here at the top again. But if this last cohort of buyers was not strong enough to push out of this range, it may be likely that we have to come down a little bit deeper, which is that 165, which is, I think, what I was kind of charting out last time. But that is the general range. But if we do hit 165, which is from here, this is also, I mean, these are heavy, dude. These charts do not look, these charts from a trading perspective to an investor say wait and just like chill for a bit. And they're probably primed for some premium selling. But the next level is that 165. And then we still have this 145-ish support down below. Below this, if we lose this 165, then I would say that it's very probable that we're going to see this 150 to, so the range is here. So the first level is 149.51. If and only if we lose 160s, there's a $10 kind of gap, a big quick, it's going to be a quick move, like 1 or 2 days, kind of quick. And that would probably, if we haven't done this yet, and that would probably come back up, and then you'd have to deal with these people. Are these people going to be resistance or not? And then the real support is at this 130. From a technical perspective, all that is our basic, what we've been doing all the time, constantly, and that's literally just this. It's from this swing low to that high. That's 50% retracement. So fundamentals aside, technically speaking, 150 is a very basic pullback, and where you would start to get interested, actually. Like legit.
Are you thinking at all of in the money call hedges on NVIDIA or?
No, I'm not worried about it. I'm not worried about it. I don't have a big position either. So like if anything for someone like me, I'd probably be looking to pick some more up. So I would be selfishly looking for this to go lower. But I don't have a big position in NVIDIA like at all. So I don't have any, I don't have a need to like do anything there. It's super small. Yeah, mine is like a placeholder. So I'm not really the right person to ask, but if I did, I would say again what I said last time, which was selling those 145 calls. Probably, I think I said July, which doesn't change the story. Like if you did that, maybe even September's, or if you want to sell some like out of the money calls, I guess like $200 calls, if you can get them far enough. I don't know, dude. What's your target here? 220. We know what our target is. Let's see this.
Yeah,
Let's do this.
Realistic. By the way, AMD, I don't know what the hell Lisa just said, but 224. I'll try to get the quote. That thing's going down even further.
So if my upside target was like 260, I think if I was really in this, sorry, I'm over time. Do you guys want to continue?
Yeah, go ahead real quick and then we'll move on.
I would look to say, how can I manufacture myself a 260, 250 plus exit while at the same time hedging myself for as low as 135 downside, which is like 30, 40 bucks or more. And I'm just looking at, January 2027, I could sell a 220 call, and that actually I can collect $2,100 by selling a 220 call. That gives me an exit price at 220 plus $21. That's $41 exit price. That's my first target right here. So that manufactures me an exit somewhere around 240, which is, by the way, never traded at. And then I also I collect $21. So that gives me protection down to 250 or 150, give or take, which I think I would be okay with, actually. But again, that's one way to do it. That's not aggressive. That's barely some protection. It's a little bit of protection. If you want to be more like, do you want to protect more, then you got to do a little bit more aggressive. Like, yeah, if you want to sell like a 150 call, you can collect $52 right now for January. But I would do something like that maybe even, as I think about it, because I'm saying buy the dip in the eating season, right? So October. So maybe we sell some September calls. Yeah, I mean, you could sell.
Yeah, no, it's a possible strategy for how that could play out, and that's one thing to think about. SMCI right here from 10% to only up 2%. Enphase, I think they might have said the words data centers on their call. That's up 18% potentially for solar. So that is also getting some love right here as SMCI kind of reverses a lot of the move. AMD is still down now 7.5% after hours.
Or you can do some optionality because NVIDIA doesn't really pay a big dividend, right? So like,
yeah,
you could do some kind of option replacement, stock replacement, and swap out your equity for options is also a potential thing. Yeah.
Can we do Amazon as that is on Thursday?
Yeah. That's the one I'm way longer Amazon than I am NVIDIA. So this one, I think I measured this. Amazon has an average move of like 7%, I believe. I don't know what's priced in right now. So 7% downside is about the 220s, which is where I bought it basically last time. Upside is my first target at 290, 259, which is about like just under 7% downside or upside. And so in either case,
timer. There you go.
Got it. In either case, quite frankly, this doesn't do much to the chart. This is very similar to how Tesla was coming into earnings, how AMD was coming into earnings to me. Wherever this goes, it doesn't really do anything to the chart. Either we're retesting support down here or we're retesting resistance up here. I don't see it breaking through to 300 on earnings. I just don't see that happening. And so for that reason, I have short calls up here also, which I think I talked about last week. Actually, yeah, for sure I talked about last week. So that would be my target anyways from an extended move beyond earnings. It was just not normal for Amazon to go this high on an actual earnings report. But again, if it did, that's as much as I would expect. But downside here is going to be in the 220s. It doesn't lose its trend. So the reason I'm saying whatever happens isn't going to make a big difference from the overall trend is because Amazon it's decidedly also in consolidation right now. So if this is where we are, meaning like I could take this and we could say, hey, look, this very near term consolidation from, this kind of triangle consolidation, the low end of that consolidation is in the 220s, which is exactly where it was just the other day. And the high end is going to be up here where, quite frankly, again, where we were just the other day, best case scenario, Amazon goes higher. But, I would not be surprised for this to potentially go nowhere. I don't want to speak my book. I'm long Amazon. I think it does good. But I've been wrong a lot of times for a lot of things. So don't listen to me. Don't do whatever I'm doing. But what I can say is even if this does drop to 220, it's not going to break the broad trend. It's just going to be back to support. If this is below 215, that is a different story. And again, that would be my stop right here on equity or whatever. From a trading perspective, equity options would be pretty much toasted by that point. But from any equity traders, if you're trading in that area and this loses 215, yeah, careful because we're looking at 185s, which would retest this area.
Google.
Otherwise, I like it to threes.
Google. Google obviously is at all-time highs, whereas Amazon is not.
Correct.
For anyone who wants to buy into earnings on Google, does the technicals even look like it's worth taking a shot there?
So yes, but I never use technicals for earnings. Like you don't want to, and we talked about this before, like you don't want to use technicals when it comes to earnings trades because fundamentals supersede technicals during an earnings report. Fundamentals reign, crazy things happen. And also never look at the stock price after hours. You can celebrate, but there's nothing for us except for lies and deceit after market. But there's a lot of times when you see this, technically speaking, it's a break. It's a break retest. Like, what's the word? I'm having a brain fart right now. This is technically sound, but there's nothing wrong with this, right? So breakout retest here, base, break and base. Geez, Jiminy Crikey, that's what I was looking for. So break, base here, you should be going this way. But the second that this earnings report comes out tomorrow, that's going to supersede this technical breakout. So forget about it. And forget about using technicals, because if this does go, what I can say is that the extension here is 360 to 370s, right in this area. Upside. Downside, though, if Google doesn't deliver, the downside here is heavy. So you have asymmetric risk, if you will. So like it's trending, so you don't want to fight that trend per se. I just, if this, and I don't think that they're not going to do well. I think realistically, this one maybe goes sideways and then eventually goes back up. So I wouldn't take that asymmetric risk on earnings. Like, you couldn't pay me to do that. No freaking shot. But what is Googly typically move on
By the way,
earnings?
real quick, USAR is down 3% after hours. They have filed for an offering of 76 million shares.
Well, so 5.8% expected move, 5.2% average move. So your options. All right, I'm not gonna talk about options. You don't want to take options because those are overpriced. But 5% downside is going to be what on average? Yeah, let's say it even has 311 is your typical pullback. That's even 8%. That's more than the average move on Google. We've been seeing some pretty big moves. So I think that's your downside here, with an upside of 370, maybe. So I would give it about 8% actually this quarter in either direction. But I just would keep this at 370. 300. So like if it loses 325s, give or take, you're probably going to see sub 300s again. And for the next 3 months after the earnings report, stocks typically trend in 3-month cycles near term. So from whatever this earnings report is, if it's a bad reaction, a bad market reaction, it's probably going to spend the next 3 months finding support, which, if you're a trader, that could be a while. That could be a while, but it still remains, if you lose 300, which it's not going to lose 300 on earnings, but if it were to do that at some point after earnings, at that point it's 240 to the downside. In the meantime, I think like 315s are your near-term downside, and then 370s are near-term upside for the actual report.
Okay. Yeah, let's do Tesla. I mean, is this one
415? 415, but that's where we are. Super heavy. I've not pulled I've not bought any of my, I sold like January 400 calls on Tessie up here, got myself my whatever. No, anyways, 415 is at prior all-time high. We're still waiting to see if Amit actually called the top. He's called the top for now, but this is not breaking down. I think this is probably best case for Tessie. Although this looks extremely heavy. For whatever reason, even though this looks heavy, I don't know what's going on. I actually don't know what's going on. To me, this 415 level, quite frankly, should have broken already. And the fact that it hasn't is kind of interesting. I don't know what's going on, with the stock or the storyline here, but 415, 3 days, like boom, boom, boom. I mean, we take another shot at 415. To me, we lose it.
You think so below 400 if we lose 415? You think?
Well, no, I will say that like we should have broken. Tesla should be under 415 already, technically speaking. But there's something weird, something Rocket Lab-esque about this. That the fact that it hasn't lost this 415 level is kind of intriguing. Where it's like, technically speaking, anybody with like a crayon and a piece of paper could probably look at this and say that this is not like the most bullish stock, but yet the bears aren't really, technically speaking, they're not able to get the job done right now. And I'm not really sure why. I don't know if it's like a SpaceX shenanigans going on or what, but it should have been under 415 already. And if it's not by tomorrow, I might think that this is going to go up. Does that make sense? Yeah. Elon scheduled this tweet at 416. Yeah, like there's something weird. So it's very Rocket Lab-esque. I don't know that I can't say that it's a big buy. I can say that it's a massive level. We've been talking about this level for, well, since it got here, 145 days since September. We've been talking about this 415 level, and we are still here. So again, it remains one of those spots where continue to sell premium is going to be money. I have protection on this, like down to 350s. Quite frankly, I would be fine if that happens, but I don't see a reason. Even if this were to break down here, the first stop is going to be like 385s, but in the 350s is going to be your larger support down here. So at that point, because we are kind of losing this near-term trend, but it's early. It's early, and we haven't it's a little too early to call, and we haven't extended beyond this 415 for whatever reason. But yeah, if we can't get below that, I kind of feel like it's a contrarian long. Because yeah, I mean, the Bears need to do their job, and if the Bears can't do their job, well, screw the Bears then. But for right now, they're winning, and they should win for all intents and purposes. And I would be ready for that, but I don't see it happening just yet. That's all I'm saying.
Microsoft, what are you thinking? By the way, guys, Jensen, I think will be live at 6, so we'll take a little break whenever he's on and see what he has to say. But also Jason's Twitter, please make sure to follow him. He does this for us every week out of the kindness of his heart.
Well, I like you guys too. So it's fun. So yeah, I bought two stocks.
I bought 25 shares of Microsoft today.
I bought Microsoft today.
Oh, cool. We both bought the stock today.
Are you in my server? Are you in the group? No, you're not.
But I never check the server.
Okay.
So dude, I have too many notifications all day.
We gotta. Do you know what? We have some personal assistants. I will send you one. Let them log into your Discord, and we'll go ahead and adjust it for you so that you get those notifications taken care of and they don't bother you. So we talked about this last time. If I turn on my SMAs, look, this is so you know what? I can just open up my Discord and literally show you guys what I did. So this is a long-term investment. I haven't made massive ads to anything like that, but
by the way, I'm putting Jason's link to his Twitter in the chat. If you click on his bio, you'll get access to his Discord. You can join for free, so make sure you
So this stuff is behind, so in order to trade with us, as a preface, we do want you guys to know a little bit about trading and things like that, even investing. So you book a call with one of our guys. They'll get you in line with what's it called? Our apprenticeship. We'll get you the foundation classes for free. And then if you decide that you want to actually trade with us, just to keep it cohesive for the group, so that we're not dealing with a lot of different questions at once and everyone's on the same page, we do want you to take the apprenticeship. But that said, we do long-term investing. We do a lot of trading. First ad here, Microsoft below 415. I actually had, can you guys see this? I actually had resting order here from before. But I said this to our group, and I'll say it to you guys here. Make no mistake, this is definitively in a downtrend. I actually do expect this to go 3 to 5 months of sideways chop, but this is the range, right? So the buy zone for the long term, 415 to 375. I know it's a large range, but again, this is long-term investing. This is how you do it. And that comes from this little gray box right here. So this is that prevailing up like downtrend that we broke out of, massive breakout of, double top here. If I double this double top, that pattern is complete. So you don't need to worry about that double top anymore. That downtrend, check that box off. That is completed. This swing low to this swing high right here, we're just overstepping that 618 kind of, or 65, which is about 420 and change. So we're still going down, but what we're doing is, to me, we're just kind of filling this last little bit of that prior earnings breakout. So 375 comes in here. It's possible that this does breach, but to me, this is where support should eventually show up. And the reason that this is long-term and not short-term is because if you look at this, zoom out a little bit and, you know, take a beat, but zoom out and say, hey, here's my actual trend, very long-term trend, not a day trader's or a swing trader's trend, but this is an investor's trend right over here. This low to this prior low, let me take this down. We're actually pretty much right on it. I think I got that. That little white box, that's going to be support. So that's going to line up also to this area. So from a longer term perspective, if you like Microsoft for the long term, not the short term, because I don't think that this gets up and explodes tomorrow, in this general area is a spot to purchase the stock from a long-term perspective. Period, end of story. I don't want to buy it lower than that. So between this area from 415 to 375, if I have some free cash, basically you treat it like this. If I treat it like this, if I have some free cash, I'll go ahead and buy some shares. It's not like crazy. We're not like, oh, I'm going to snipe the lows. We don't do that, right? That's not how we want to do it. Check in from time to time. I think earnings was great. I just think that, you know, the market does not like all that CapEx, and that's just kind of what we're dealing with in general right now. The market's concerned of when's the actual ROI going to show up for this stuff. And that's it. So where's my chart here? It says we can go lower all the way down to this area, which is that second area is way down here, 350, but I don't want to buy it in this area. So I'll be a buyer in this general area. That's it. Done. And I won't think about buying it again until if, for whatever reason, it's sub 350. But between 415 and 375 in this area, this is where I would expect support to start to build over the next couple months. And this ends up being one of those trades where, you know, come June, July, sometimes when we have that mid-year rally, when I say 3 to 5 months, I actually think the Microsoft ends up being one of the better bounce candidates at that point in time. So that's where my timeline kind of comes into. So if we get this, essentially what I'm looking at is if you get back over 425, we know we're going to 450. If we can get over 450, we know we're going to 470. And I have a chance to retest this 500 area. And from that perspective, this could be an investment that maybe turns into a trade, but that's 30% upside from here over the next, call it 6 months, maybe, or longer, depending on how this goes. But I would expect in this area for a base of support to start to show up. And if it fails, just know that is your warning. It's down to 350s. But again, if I'm buying at 375s below 400, I'm probably okay buying at 352. So you have to think about it from that perspective.
I 1000% agree with you. And we're not going to get into the fundamentals of Microsoft, but fundamentally, I think valuation is incredibly attractive at 412. I think I got it 413 today. It's at 22 times forward. If it does go to 375, which I think you're right about that range, I mean, it just gets really more attractive. Here's the other thing. I think someone mentioned, Austin, in the chat. What if OpenAI fails and they get to buy OpenAI on pennies on the dollar? I don't think that's going to happen. But I mean, it could become more of a tailwind maybe.
Yeah. So when they start calling for Satya's resignation, we should probably buy it again. But I don't know that that's ever going to happen. Anyways, look, it's a great company. It's a good stock, and it's actually at a fair price. So if you want to take a page out of Buffett's book, good company, good price, there you have it. In my humble opinion, I'm wrong about a lot of things, you guys, but support resistance trading stuff, this is usually where I would start to see some kind of buyers eventually step in.
All right, so let's get into rapid fire. We'll do 2 minutes and 30 for the new timers for the new tickers. And again, maybe at 6:15, we'll take a break and we'll see what Jensen has to say. Let's start off with SOFI here. This one got obliterated after earnings.
I think we said 29 or 22, something like that.
That was literally the range.
Yeah. I think I failed. So it was not 29, but it was 22. And you guys wonder if you were asking me, like, especially something like earnings, so it could go up or it could go down. Hell yeah, it could go up or it could go down because you're gambling on earnings. But I don't do that stuff. Everybody else does. They like to do it. But this is at support. It breached it just slightly. What you're doing is you're kind of retesting this little blip in the radar. So to be fair, that's not a strong level. I think we have some other fintechs coming, and I hate doing Technical Tuesday also when it's like, the candles are just bloody red sometimes. It's whatever. But $20.58 right here, that actually is a 50% retracement. And I don't know if you caught me, what I just measured is from this low, $8 to this little double top. Actually, I think that one's a little bit higher at $32. So about $20 is your typical 50% retracement. You're toying with your 20-day SMA or 20-day simple moving average, blah, blah, blah. And you have distance now building between the 50 and 20. So I think you could chop a little bit, but my caution would be that if you do lose $20.50, give or take, you probably have another 25% drop that then starts to retest real support, which is in this area here. So this is like what we call medium-term support. And this type of level does lend itself to being prone to some pretty heavy counter trend rallies or bounces. But if you do get a counter trend bounce, just know where we just fell, $25 is now resistance. Definitively, that is now resistance. So it can bounce 25% here if we get a trigger, a candlestick trigger, which I don't have a trigger to take anything on here. So right now it's a wait. But if this does hold and start to get some interest in it, I can see this coming up to 25, at which point I would take measures personally. And that's about, depending on what's going on in the market, but technically speaking, nothing, fundamental. That's where I would say to take measures if you do get a counter trend bouncing to 25, which is basically how a lot of these things will look and why I would say you don't have to make any rash decisions right now because that gives you time to make a decision.
NBIS.
I don't hate NBIS. I didn't text you yet. What are we doing? So this is our last one. I'm just watching this right now. So
okay, so we gotta get the timer.
So NBIS is like last week, I think we said 88s, thereabouts. We were 84s.
You have to press the timer too.
Man.
Dude, I'm sorry, but people, we need the pace to go up there because there's too many tickers. So I'm trying to keep
okay. Yeah, so like 88s, we're not over yet. So this is kind of what I drew out, like a pullback here from 108 down to this 88 level. Breached a little bit, so I have to see this get back over call it 90s and then 93 for this to happen. Otherwise, I might be texting you again, but I'll probably wait to text you till we're over here, because this is not going to be a great, it's just going to be a whatever level at 78. But there's nothing broken here. Definitely waiting to see what happens next, because the reason I was looking at this is because we're kind of looking to see, can this build a base and break out through there, which becomes a pretty bullish setup. But again, why trading is if this, then that. I need what we call a trigger. I don't have a trigger yet. It's a setup that's brewing. It's a watch. Over
Netflix.
89. Scared to look. Yeah, no change. No change, like at all. I think I've been pretty clear on this chart for a while. So you can call me at 75, but I'm really not super interested. I'll be more interested sub 60. But 75 is a 50% retracement. Yeah, I've been pretty clear here. And that is going to remain a 50% retracement. This
You've been
is
saying 75 for a couple months now. On this
it's
one.
not a pretty chart. 75 to 60 is a very basic retracement. This is what we call like the golden zone, a very typical retracement from this low to this high. Investment phase, it's going to take a while. Even in this box, I don't think it would. I don't think it would. I think you're going to look at something like that. So there's no support here. I don't know what people are. This is not technical support of any real flavor, like at all. That's like minimal, less than small when you have this kind of a breakdown. That's it.
Okay. Real quick, Brian, thank you for the super chat admit. Thanks for the shout out to Davey and me earlier today. And thanks to your meetup, we connected with another OG listener, David. We already scheduled dinner with him and his wife. Wow.
How did it go? I didn't even get the stories, dude. Did you post? I'm over here not even. We're so slammed over here. But.
A very cajoling meetup indeed. I'll send you the photos. I'm going to post the photos publicly as well, and people who came to the meetup will get the photos.
Listen, next time, I was thinking about this, Amit. Next time, maybe we can coordinate something where I'm there and back in the same day, because it's just the one night, right?
Dude, you are welcome. So LA, you definitely have to come to the LA one, March 28th. So
yeah,
try to keep
March. Okay, because I'll be in New York in August. Are we doing something then? Are you doing anything then?
You and me can definitely do something, but probably not a meetup or anything in August.
Okay.
But yeah, this was super cool. And this super chat is part of the reason why I love the meetup. So the fact that you're meeting someone else and his wife and getting dinner, that's super cool. That's just super cool. So again, Brian, thank you for the gift and thank you for coming to the meetup with your wife over the weekend. Can we do Broadcom? And is this a dip buy at 315 in your opinion?
Well, so last time it was, but this time I think we breached just slightly. We still have the same kind of area. So it's just kind of like wait to see if people come back in. This is just like a, intraday kind of resistance. I think last time we talked about it needing to get over this 330, 340 area, right over here. But that's the range. So it just wasn't able to get over that area, and it turned into resistance. So no, I don't think you buy this dip. If you bought this dip here, I think you literally just sit on your hands. That's what you should do. I don't think I restarted that. And wait for the next level, which is lower. Because if you just this is trading 101. In order to add to and I know it's not investing, but investors can take a page out of this book. In order to add to a losing position, if it's a loser, I have to have what's called a trigger. And without that, I cannot just add systematically because something's cheaper than when I first bought it. It doesn't make any sense to do that. I have to wait and look for the next kind of actual area. And so what I will say is if it loses the 200-day and this general area here, then wait till at least 280 or lower than 280, possibly down to 250. But in this box, if this actually breaks down, has not broken down yet. So if anybody took a shot in this area, I think you just let that be the shot. Just like Meta, I took my shot 590s. It came all the way back from 7 something to 600. And I'm like, I think it could break, but I'm not going to take another shot. I took my shot, I let it be. And then that's how it is. So just let that be. If I'm going to add to something like that, I want a bigger discount and I want it to be impactful, not just like for fun. So this is a tradable range below here. Expect that 330 to still act as resistance until proven otherwise. So heavy chart though, unless it can get over that, just kind of battling with that resistance. In here is that kind of chop zone on the weak side today. So it's a little TBD.
Micron, what do you think about memory?
Moo, the fat cow, dude. All I know is that I was shocked to learn that SSD is in fact more valuable than gold by weight. Did you see that?
I did.
Certain SSD, like that's insane. She's a little toppy today.
Well, she didn't really follow SanDisk either, which was
no, surprising. She didn't. SanDisk is a little lesser known. So these guys, SanDisk, Micron, have all been kind of trading in the channel, like in a pretty static channel. And so what I would say is this is the lower end of that channel. So everything aside, I would actually assume that Micron does in fact bounce, but I need to see that happen. This is actually a heavy watch for tomorrow. Because if it loses this trend, which is what it's toying with, then we get the pullback and you're looking at 365. You're looking at a tradable pullback potentially to 300s, which is what that seems to be. That would look like this. You might even have that somewhere in here. But until I see a breakdown below, like significant, so the trigger for that is to be below 398, like well below 400. I'd say a few dollars below 400 and continuing to fall. If you see Micron continuing to fall in strength below 400, just know there's a potential $100 of drift that could happen to the downside. In the meantime, if this holds, then I expect 452, which would be normal, all the way up to 487. And that's the channel that Micron has actually lived in. So if she acts right, it's another $70 to the upside. If she don't act right, which is we're about to get a trigger here, which is why I say it's a heavy watch. It's peeking its head down the lower end, but I would wait to be for sure, which means that I would wait for something like this to actually take this as a tradable trade. And I would take this one chunk at a time, like a $40, $50 chunk here, and then another $70 chunk probably in here is how I would take that in 2 separate trades. Personally, sorry, I'm not trading. It's a trading show. But tomorrow, I think this is going to be a big show and tell, actually. So heavy watch tomorrow, Micron, out of the gate. This is a big trader. I'm on
Shopify?
this.
Are you interested at all in Shopify?
I mean, it's going to be hard for me to get interested on anything other than Micron right now because that was such a good trade setup, dude. I'll just let you know right now. Holy, what happened to Shopee Shop? Dude, I had a feeling this was going to pull her back, but not that far. That's what did I miss?
I think the street thinks that this is a SaaS name.
I mean, it is kind of a SaaS name.
It is kind of a SaaS name, but good, like this is getting kind of stupid, right? Like,
let's find out.
AI is not commoditizing Shopify at all. Someone tell me the bear case for AI with Shopify. I get Salesforce if you want to stretch the bear case, but like,
okay, as close to 100 as we can. If you buy this, it's counter trend because the trend is definitely. It needed to get back over that one. I only had 140 as a downside target. Dude, how she does this to you in 3 days, it's like, this is total typical Shopify. She does this in 3 days flat. It's just like, oh God, like a bad ex-girlfriend, dude, on this one. Sorry, guys, that was uncalled for. But, oh, why did that?
Yeah, if anything, agentic AI should help shop. I mean, again, a lot of these stocks I think are disproportionately getting thrown out. And but you're right, it is counter trend, right, to buy this name right now.
Yeah, yeah. So worst case, is that, no? Am I looking at a worst case of 90? I guess
Dude,
so.
90 I'm buying.
I'm legit looking at a worst case of 90, which is why, like, if you do go out on a limb here, I mean, be patient. Look, midterm election year dips are some of the best, not some of, they're the biggest dip that you want to buy, but you got to be patient, right? It's the big dip. This is the big dip. Is it going to come? Yeah. So this is, it's a little bit more than double toppy. This is a head and shoulders that has actually played out at 142. And so what I would say about that is that a head and shoulders, when they do play out, they tend to hit their targets about 84% of the time. And that target is in fact 90. So that's the concern. So here's your, maybe 100, give or take. If you don't know, do we want to explain the head and shoulders? Not really. I don't even know where my tool is. Anyways, I use it so infrequently. Yeah, I don't even know what that stupid tool is.
Now Shopify is still expensive. Fundamentally, it's not like a cheap, dirt cheap name. But again, the velocity of the sell-off of these names is heavy.
Yeah, I'd have to default to like you on something like that. But like, here's your left shoulder, head up here, right shoulder, something like that. And so like, if this, oh, what a loser. People like click that off. If this plays out like that, yeah, in this instance, that neckline is that 140 area that I was saying, like, when this really breaks, so this would be that 50% of the range, and the full target is about $100, just slightly below.
Okay, let's do Oracle, but before that, real quick, Sam Altman just tweeted, really excited to get Elon under oath in a few months, Christmas and April. This guy has zero fear about the lawsuit, apparently. And I guess time will tell what happens there.
That guy is out of control, man. So Oracle is like my primary short, has been for a while. Still active, by the way. But, you know, we covered this last time as well. You know, you lost that like $200 level. I think I just ended up pressing the gas to the downside on this. And I took some profits on my shorts today. So what I would say is this is getting really close. I said 160s to 140 last week. Here we are, 150. I'm right in that kind of range. So I think it can go a little bit lower, but I'm just not seeing any love show up for this stock at all. So I think this does continue on, but I'm a trader. So while I do think there's more downside, I got to start taking profits here. Otherwise, I'm just a greedy bear, and I don't want to be a greedy bear. But this is taking a pretty heavy hit. Although I will say I don't have any reason right at this moment to think it's going to bounce like with any substance. I would be more along the lines of 140s, because this in here, this little box in here, this is kind of like my range where I would like, that's going to be my short target range from up in here. So yeah, I think if you're bullish on this, just know that the bears are taking profits on their shorts. So yeah, it's probably closer to the end than anything from its fall.
CoreWeave.
No. CoreWeave. I kind of like this, dude.
I don't like that it went from 115 back down to 85. Like, I feel like
that's 115 is 108 is going to be resistance. It depends on what hat you're wearing, right? Do you like it from investing or I don't like it from I can't speak to the investor, but I can speak from a trader's perspective. I could see a nice little $20 bounce that's tradable, counter trend, in which that could easily do that. So I don't know, but like 2 weeks to earnings, right on support of 85. I see this at 100 before I see it at 80. I'll just put that out there. But from there, I think you could go either way. From there, who knows? That's all I can see on this one. So if it does get to 100, let's see if it doesn't even get to 108 on the bounce. That's when I would be really concerned, and I would be concerned of like, see this little top right here. I would be very concerned if that ends up being resistance, which is just under 103. So like what would be not cool is this goes up to 103. Then this pulls back, retests that support again. Then you have a head and shoulders. And then you're going back down the list. So that's what bearish would look like. But it looks like a bounce counter trend first into hundreds.
ZETA.
Ah!
More software carnage on this one.
What did they do?
Dude, I don't think they did anything. That's the thing.
She lost it.
No.
They need more PR.
Well, whatever trend was in the 20s, the SaaS thing, because they're a SaaS company at the end of the day. I don't know. I don't know if they get commoditized by AI, but the market's pricing like that.
I mean, look what they did to Shopify.
Yeah.
Shopify.
Look what it did to ServiceNow.
All right, that's different, right? But like, but not really, I guess. If anything's, so it's gone. This feels a little bit exaggerated. So it's back into support from this perspective. It's retesting support. So like you're going to see probably a little bit of a bounce here, like instantly. The thing is that you need to see that bounce get over 18.5 and hold. And you need to see this happen. Like you really need to see this happen. Because if you see this happen, I mean, it might even go backwards, who knows, but earnings coming. This is not a place where I would short it. That's definitively support. So I could see a bounce, but even if it gets to 19, I would want to see it hold 18s and eventually get back up like that. But if you're just looking at this looks ugly. Although with a little bit closer look, it looks like you don't want to press this short unless you haven't. This short looks over to me. It just doesn't look good yet. I would have to have a trigger, which means that I would have to see this one more time, kind of sweep that liquidity sub 17 or, in the mid 17s, and then start breaking over 17.5. And then I would have like a 20% bounce, which, sorry, 8% bounce, which I would then expect to get sold into. And then I'd have to see something like that. The only time, like, if this got really high, like in the 19s, and then came all the way back down, I would actually be more optimistic if I did see something like that, like all the way up and retest that 50-day SMA and then lock in a higher low. That would be really constructive. But this is all like crystal ball right now because this is played out. You have to wait for the next move to come.
RKLB?
I didn't like it last time I saw it. It was like 70 something. No. Shoot. 70 something it was. These things move so fast, dude.
I think this is so fake, dude. Like,
what, yeah.
Like,
so here's your downtrend. So like it's what do you mean you think it's so fake?
I just like, why is it up 10%?
I can only tell you from a technical perspective, I had this on the level 70 something.
I think if everything got murdered today, I feel like this is only up, and same thing with ASTS and Lunar because of the SpaceX IPO.
It's counter trend bounce right now. Near term is down ski, right? So high, this is your last low over here, right? Which was breached. So high, lower low, right? Then you lock a lower high, and then you breach that low again, and then you make another lower high, and then you breach that low one more time. So to your point, look, this is now going to be resistance at 83s. So I could see this bounce a little bit more like that, and then you could make a new low like this until this finally comes out of that range. So so that is what this would have to look like. And so the bigger dipper is in the 60s still, like it was before.
Yeah, I just think all the space names today, all of them are up. It's not just RKLB. And I think that's because of SpaceX IPO. Maybe it's a technical retrace, but everything gets murdered in high beta and ASTS and RKLB.
Is that why Tesla?
Yeah, I think that's why Tesla's up, because the people think there's going to be a merger with SpaceX, which I don't think is going to happen anytime soon.
What about Elon? The stock Elon, ELON, is that going to be a new ticker? I heard somebody asking about that.
That would be pretty cool if we did get that ticker. I don't know. My point is, I just don't know if people can trust any high beta runs when it all feels like it's rooted in a narrative.
No, you got to wait. Yeah, we got to wait. It's not like you can nibble strategically with a lot of room to buy lower, but high beta, to your point, unless you like love the company and the stock, like, you know, I'm a little attached to my hoodie. Like, unless you absolutely like, I don't care, like call the milkman kind of, I don't care. And it's, you know, with some spare cash that you have laying around, you can't really be buying a whole lot right now. You gotta wait.
Let's do Salesforce. Another SaaS name.
Dude, I took a shot and I instantly threw it right back into the garbage. Like, for real. I thought I could get a counter trend bounce to 230 on this bounce at 211. And that bounce was just so epically weak. Like right here, I was like, 230 is resistance up here. That's resistance. And I'm like, all right, I should be able to get something, but I needed to get over 218. And like, wow, that was just such a quick failure. I'm like, oh God. So no. See this little numbers down here? That's where she wants to go.
What, 150?
Uh-huh. It's just like such an epic breach right now. Like, okay, so unless this is back over 220, I'm just not even, like, it's off the list. It's like a no touch zone unless you're over 220. And even if you are over 220, I'm probably not going to touch it either. I'm just going to like laugh and be like, I should have taken it, but I didn't, and let it go.
Are you interested here or no?
No. This is another one where like, if you took your shot in the 200s, just leave it be. If you already took a shot in this area, or like even in this area or any of these areas, just leave it be. Do not add here. This is not a value add. Like I said, this is, again, the perfect explanation of, I'm not going to try and catch a falling knife. I took a shot. If you took a shot, it didn't work out. It is what it is. If I'm going to add to a losing position, it needs to make a substantial change, right? Like we went through this with BMNR. Like it needs to be substantially lower, not just like marginally lower. It's not going to do anything for you. So substantially lower is in here. And until then, call me when I'm over 220, maybe. But just know that 230, 250, that's resistance.
Rubric.
But I like the company. It's just the market doesn't like them right now. I also like this company a lot, Rubric.
This one got murdered as well, dude. This one got hit bad. It was pushing 90 back in December.
This one I don't mind. Well, no, this one's not cheap, and it's got a lower TAM.
Yes, agreed.
So that's always been my issue with Rubik. I love the company, but I've always said it's not cheap, and also the addressable market is smaller. It's data protection, right? Plus, they sell boxes, by the way. They do sell software. There's a software company that sells boxes, just like think of Pure Storage. That is a software company that sells boxes full of SSD. So maybe what we're seeing something like a Pure Storage or a Rubrik is that when your box is full of SSD, and SSD is more expensive than gold by weight, your margins are going to be a little compressed, most likely. Not that they're not bad margins, but they're probably not going to be what they used to be. But great tech, great company. It's a bit hot and heavy here. I do not have a reason to think about jumping into this at all. I think this is rough. Maybe 40s.
All right, let's give Jason a break here. Let's see what Jensen has to say. We'll probably be back in like 10 minutes and keep going from there.
Today, you just announced a long-term strategic partnership that I think centers on bringing artificial intelligence into the real-world economy. It's part of the fourth industrial revolution. Now, we're talking about trillions of dollars, trillions in creation of new iterations, aerospace, autos, materials. You've been working together for ages. Why is this particular partnership so important?
We started working with Dassault Systems 25 years ago during the last major platform transition from workstations and mainframes to personal computers. Now we're working together again in this next computing platform transition when we move from classical general purpose computing to now accelerated computing and AI. This partnership between us is incredible because the next frontier of artificial intelligence is physical AI. This is where AI understands the physical world, and we apply artificial intelligence to design, simulate, validate, and operate incredible systems. And as you know, we're in the beginning of the next industrial revolution, the largest infrastructure build out in history, and we're building all of these plants, chip plants, computer plants, and AI factories. And all of these plants are going to be powering the industries of today, car companies, aircraft companies, and so on and so forth. And so Dassault Systems, it's at the center of that. And for the first time, we're integrating all of NVIDIA's platform technologies, NVIDIA CUDA-X, NVIDIA AI, NVIDIA Omniverse, into the Dassault Systems suite of tools. This is completely revolutionary, and we're so excited about it.
All right, so I see a world where things that we envisioned but couldn't afford, are going to be affordable with this. So, Pascal, I've been thinking one of the major aerospace companies told me, we got to get back into the fast game. We got to be able to make it so there's a plane that can leave New York and land in London in 3 hours. But it's too expensive to design. How would you make it so it's not too expensive?
This is the purpose of the partnership, which is to accelerate the design and the simulation and everything we have to build virtually before to make it real. Now, right now, you know, we can uplift many, many things. There are many, many things like certification of the airplane, like the quality management, like the compliance check, which are becoming late into the process. With what we are building together, we could uplift them and give the ability to squeeze the time to be much more productive and much more accurate the first time.
I do want to say that.
And Jim, look,
sure.
The stuff that we're doing together will make it possible for us to simulate with artificial intelligence and accelerated computing so much larger scale and so much more quickly. Just give you one example. Instead of simulating some parts of your design and then using putting your product into a air chamber or into a crash simulation, we're going to do everything digitally. This idea of a virtual digital twin so that we could basically do all product design and testing completely digitally is going to save enormous amounts of time, enormous amounts of money.
Okay, so Pascal, I was with an incredible fireside chat with Jensen and David Ricks from Lilly, and they're talking about developing new drugs. You have a life sciences division, but most of these drugs just cost too much money, and the iterations are too expensive. What could you do to make it so that we would see iterations of things that we could never dream of because of this partnership?
You know, it costs, in average, $2 billion to develop a new drugs. And more than 60% is spent on the clinical trial. And why this is expensive? Because you have to test it physically in the reality. There is a way to virtualize part of the clinical trial. That's what we do. We call it the synthetic control arm, which is a way to create a virtual cohort, if you want, and do a virtual trial rather than to have to do it completely over the time. This is really squeezing it significantly. And based on the different case we have, we could probably gain something like 50% of the cost.
We're going to do the same that we do with planes in a wind tunnel. We're going to do drugs in a virtual wet lab, and we could discover and engineer new drugs much, much more effectively as a result.
I do hope people who are listening know that it's not just hyperscalers that use these chips, and that this economy is 90%. 90% of the economy involves exactly what we're talking about. Maybe 10% involves what I do want to ask Jensen about, because there's a lot of confusion. And I want to clear it up. And I want to clear it up right now, because I think we can put a fork into the confusion that we're hearing. There's a lot of talk, Jensen, about the OpenAI investment. Now, I find it after a while tedious. However, many people in the press are convinced that you want to walk away from a major initial investment of $100 billion into OpenAI, that it's stalled, that you're not that interested, that there's been a lot of private criticism, even for the $10 billion per 1 gigawatt that you put in. Can we end this? Is there really controversy about this?
No, there's no controversy at all. It's complete nonsense. We love working with OpenAI. We are incredibly honored and delighted to be able to invest in their next round. And so we're privileged that they're inviting us to invest for each one of their rounds. We would love to be invited, and we would consider, of course, investing in it. This is one of the most consequential technology companies in history. And this will by far be one of the most exciting investments. And I'm delighted to be.
Again, I love Jensen, but it's not just me, right? It's not just me. We love OpenAI. I don't know, buddy. I don't think you do.
To be invited, and we'll consider every single one. We are going to invest in their next round. We're looking forward to Sam closing it, and he's doing terrifically. And we will invest in the next round. There's no question about that.
Okay, then it is confusing to me why both the initial deal that was announced, and we were talking about one that has not been confirmed, where you're talking about putting money with them. This is separate from the second one with the deal, in order to be able to invest, again, to be able to make it so that 1 gigawatt, $10 billion. And then the second thing about the investment with the in a possible IPO. We keep hearing from the Wall Street Journal, from Reuters, the deal's on ice, that it can't be done, that there's so much dispute. Another thing that makes me upset, Jensen, is that perhaps it is possible that there's motivation here to kill the deal, because I'm not hearing anything from either party that sounds like this.
Well, nothing that we're doing on the inside is that dramatic. There's a lot of stories about it, but I think that OpenAI and Sam are doing a great job raising this current round. This will be the largest private round ever raised in history, and I don't know any other company that possibly could do this. I mean, all of this is possible because the amount of offtake, the amount of traffic, the amount of interest that they have in their product. What they need more than anything right now is compute. When they have compute, it will directly translate to revenues for them, because as you know, in the world of AI, infrastructure, the computing, the AI factories is what produces the tokens, the AI that ultimately drives their revenues. And so the more compute they have, the greater revenues they will have. And so their trajectory, their revenue growth trajectory is going to be unlike anything the world's ever seen. And this is a great investment opportunity. I'm delighted to do it. In working with OpenAI, there is no drama. This round's going to get done. It's going to be the largest round in history. It's going to be oversubscribed.
Okay, remember,
it's going to be.
There are two rounds.
Terrific.
There's two rounds. There's a September deal where you talked about $10 billion per gigawatt, and that was pre-AMD, for instance. And then there's the round for the IPO. Are both of them on? Because the first one there's a lot of talk that one has just kind of gone away, that you're not going to do that deal, the original $100 billion. This is the last I will ask of this, because I think we can put the end right here to questions about whether that first deal is on or off.
The first deal is on.
It's on.
I think I think there's a round that OpenAI is going to do, that Sam's going to do before the IPO, and if that round is on, then we're in, and I think the round is on.
Okay.
And then there's of course an IPO in the future, and we love to be participating in that as well. And so this is a fantastic company, and this, I've said before, this is a once in a generation company. We're delighted to invest in it.
Well, it doesn't sound like that there's a rocky relationship between the two. It doesn't sound like the deal's on ice. It doesn't sound like there's grave problems. It doesn't sound like there are 8 different sources saying this one can't happen. It doesn't sound like any of that to me.
And there's no drama involved. Everything's on track.
All right, I'd like to go back to substance. I appreciate the
Who's buying it? Put in the chat. Are you buying what Jensen is selling here?
the horse race deal. It's important for some people. I'd rather talk about the 90 trillion that is the world economy. And I want to go back to Pascal because I think that it's only fair to say that maybe we can.
Okay, honestly, we could stop it there. The OpenAI question was really the most important thing that mattered. So I don't know, Jason, before we get it back into TA, you're muted. What do you think about that?
I just, who was the other guy? I have no. I don't know, dude. It felt like you remember when I asked you about like how is it talking to Jensen when you were there, like asking him in person. You're like, dude, you kind of know he like when we're kids. Maybe some people say there's no such thing as dumb questions, but Jensen makes you feel like you're asking dumb questions. I feel like that was one of those moments, and he was like, dude, stop asking me the same question 50 ways. I'm not going to give you your answer.
To Cramer's, and this goes to show how well Cramer's built a relationship with Jensen. Over the weekend, there was a clip where Jensen literally looked at the reporter like she was a idiot, and you could tell he was just like, "Why are you asking me this?" But this one, he was actually a bit respectful with Cramer because he knows that Cramer has kept it solid with him for the past 10 years, and he didn't like give him an attitude. He actually, but even Cramer knew he was pushing the limit. But
he was definitely pushing the boundaries.
To Cramer's defense, like, bro, in September you guys said 100 billion, and now I'm also curious, why has things changed?
Did he say we're going to invest 100 billion, or did he? Is what he's saying true or not? Like, Is it true that he said
they'll do 10 billion per 10 gigawatts? So 10 billion per gigawatt, 10 gigawatts, 10 times 10, 100 back in September. Nothing happened for the next 5 months. And now he's like, we will consider investing in the next round. Even that vocabulary is like, but then 2 seconds later, he's like, we will be investing in the next round, right? So this is what happens when someone's lying. They tend to, contradict themselves. I'm not saying Jensen's a liar. I'm just saying, like, obviously it feels a little dicey the way he's speaking about this.
Yeah. Little.
I don't think it's bearish NVIDIA. OpenAI than anything.
It just feels like something happened again with Sam's Altman. Probably pulled another Sam Altman of some flavor, which we don't know what it is, and we'd all love to know. But Jensen's probably holding back, saying a lot of. It sounds like he's got some dirt that he wants to say, but he doesn't want to say it because it would be disrespectful, and he doesn't want to be that way either. So for that, I think
to Jensen's credit, he never talks shit about his partners ever.
Yeah, the one time he did talk a little shit was about quantum, and look what happened. Like, he crashed an entire industry, and then he had to walk that back. So I think he learned that lesson too.
Yeah, and real quick before we get back into the TA, this is what I mean by Jensen potentially being upset at OpenAI. I think the number one reason, because this was announced right after they announced their $100 billion investment. This is what he said about the AMD deal that OpenAI did.
We've been working with OpenAI through Azure, Microsoft, and OCI and CoreWeave, and so through third parties for quite a long time. In fact, in 2016, I delivered the world's very first AI supercomputer called DGX-1 to a startup, a nonprofit startup in San Francisco, and that company turned out to have been OpenAI. And so we've been working with them for quite a long time. The OpenAI partnership is an addition to what we're already doing with them in the cloud. All of the cloud contracts, we're going to continue to execute on all that. But
deal is very different from AMD's. AMD is in a situation where they're basically giving away a big chunk of their company to be able to be a partner with OpenAI and sell them some of their goods. Is that how you read it?
Yeah, I saw the deal. It's imaginative. It's unique and surprising. Considering they were so excited about their next generation product, I'm surprised that they would give away 10% of the company before they even built it. And so
it's imaginative, surprising, and I'm considering how excited they are for the next generation. I mean, I'm surprised that AMD would give away 10% of the company. Like, it sounds like Sam Altman really pissed him off by doing that AMD deal. And I think ever since that,
I still think it's got to be something more than that. Like, there's something, I don't want to say, it just gives you like the vibe of like something nefarious is going on underneath there. I don't really know. It's a little funky. It doesn't smell right. I love Jensen. I think Jensen's like the most stand-up CEO that we've had in like a very long time. But we don't really know Sam, and what we do know about Sam is that it's not all good. Like, it's kind of let's just say hit and miss. But yeah, for Jensen to be less excited is less exciting.
All right, so we have about 30 minutes left. 2:30.
Yeah, I like Rubric, right? And so I just want to cap off. So a lot of the charts right now look bearish, right? But even like Oracle, probably the most bearish chart out there. And I'm saying that, it's I think we have maybe like a little bit more downside. We're going to get non-farm payrolls, but I don't think this is like panic anything, right? This is like, you have time. We're probably going to get some bounces, but we just have to be careful about this next bounce. When we get it, you got to look at your charts. And if they're going to make a lower high, let's say for example, on Rubric, like I like Rubric, but if it can't get back over 60, that's when I have a little bit more trouble. But I can see this holding here. It's not strong support. It's near term. Like, it's only been there a couple times. And then I could see a bounce here. And then really you have earnings. So at that point, what happens during earnings is TBD. So this looks like a trading spot on a flush on earnings, I would still say here, but I could see a bounce first, just like we did on CoreWeave. I could see a bounce first, a lot of them across the board from even where we are, even CRM, right? Like CRM is like, just, I say these things sometimes and I don't want people to get the wrong, like perspective, is that like CRM is in an uptrend, like it's got to get back over 120, but until then, the market's just not liking this one, dude. I don't know what to say about this one. This could bounce. So like CRM, for example, I wouldn't really want to press this short-term bet, but like I could see this and you get a bounce like this, that's when you have to be cautious. So it's not that this is going straight here. It's not how these things work. What everything looks like is that it's going to get a little bit of a bounce, but how big those bounces are what's going to be more important than if we get these bounces. Because if this bounce, remember I said 220 on CRM, if this bounce takes us to this, that's a different kind of bounce. But at that level, I have to be cautious. But something like that would be a trigger, and something like this would be a trigger. Over here is just taking profits. Like I think last week I said, we gone to the upside, I'm taking profits on the longs, and I was mostly going them short last time we talked. Now I'm over here saying I'm taking profits on my shorts, and I'm probably going to be hopefully thinking about taking some counter trend bounces to where I think that's going to be TBD.
Okay. So let's try to run through the rest of these tickers.
Can we do some different ones?
Yeah. Can we do 130 on the clock? Because there's just
if you promise to give me good stocks.
I'll give you some good stocks.
Meaning like I can't give me stocks that are going up. Do you know any of those?
I'll try. I mean, I got the first one.
If you don't, I do. Is this hours? Like what am I doing here? I'm messing this up. 1 minute 30.
Okay, let's start with this first one.
Is it green or red?
It's green.
We want good stocks. Only good stocks.
SanDisk.
Bro.
Good. Is the best stock in the world at this point.
It's good stock. SanDisk, same thing. So actually, I didn't hit play. So here's your last high. This guy also, what am I looking at? Did we just find a ticker? Because this is not SanDisk.
No, what the hell, Smart Sand, bro?
I don't know. That's what I'm saying.
SNDK. Even though that was kind of a nice chart.
That's what I'm saying.
Did we just hold on? What is SND? Did we just find a new stock?
That's how you do it, dude.
Oh no, it's too small. It's way too small. We can't talk about this one.
It looks good.
We could not. We could all buy the company in the chat right now, dude.
Shit.
SNDK.
Delete. All right. So same thing as Micron. So it's doing it's had its channel, right? So it's got this like clean and stable channel. It's done. So
it's done?
Yeah.
You're saying
it's done for now.
You're saying
breathe.
top.
Yeah, no, just to breathe. Take a breathe. Just take a beat. Don't press the bet. 700, pretty nice, solid round number. Top of the channel. This is more of a don't press the bet. Expect to pull back into 600s and then see if it can continue on its merry way. But this is top of the range. This is your channel. You don't want to press this bet. It's not a press. It's a hold. Expect to pull back into the 6 somethings. Super aggressive pullback would be 635, but it's going to stay in this channel. It's acting right, but you don't want to, if this were to go straight up right now, you don't want that. Like that's no good. But the channel that it's been in is literally right here. It's acting right. It's inside the channel. But this is not where you buy. You buy down here.
Okay. I agree with you. It's probably due for a breather. GEV.
I mean, the breathers on these guys are like 36 hours, maybe.
Yeah.
GV. So power is everything. GV looks amazing. Show me 1K, but first I got to get to 840. It has to hold 740. So right now, this is good. Let's pull this all the way back. How come I didn't hit play? What this 840 comes from is it's literally this pullback, and it's the triple extension. Boom, into there. So we're 2.5 times the initial pullback right now. Let me just get a little bit more confluence. This pullback, so right in the 800 something range. But with the big caveat, but this has to hold that 740. If it doesn't hold 740, then you're coming back another $100, retest this high like that. And then still probably fine, but this is fine.
Okay. Meta. We can do
Silver, right?
I said meta, but if you want to do silver, do silver. We can do silver after. We can do it after.
Yeah, Meta's coming down. Possibly all the way.
I don't know why
Even these bad stocks, dude. I'm telling you, you're not.
You act like silver is not a bad. You know, silver got destroyed on Friday just because a little rebound.
Dude, we talked about it. I wanted to bring it up because we talked about it. I said, look, it could easily come back in 20, 30%. And is it even going to be a sell? I don't think it's a sell, dude. I don't think it's a sell.
Yeah, let's go to silver. Go ahead.
But let me cap off on Meta. So 690 is going to be critical here. So this, at least Meta did did it? See, remember when I said, you get one shot to break the highs? I said that when it comes to earnings. And I want you to remember it, right? So here's your high. That's 742. You get one shot. You take the shot. You miss the shot. You're very likely coming all the way back, but you have a couple stops in between then and now, right? So the first shot is 50%, which is exactly where you are right now, 688. So the key level was the 614, I think 704 or something like that. I had one. But here, actually, if I just use this one, it was 705. If Meta can get back over 690, I think you can retest that 705 to 715 area, but take Meta, be cautious there. That's going to be a little bit of a near-term bounce. Unless it's over 742, you chill out. And if this loses 680, you're very likely going to see 75, and then it's possible that you're talking about 640s on Meta. Because why stay long Meta if the rest of them are going to start reporting?
Yeah, and if the Qs get hit, Meta gets hit too. So
yeah, so all the way back. So we literally had this. This is a break retest on SLV. Honestly, I'm not in the camp that that Warsh is a hawk. I just don't. I don't subscribe to that. But imagine this for a second. Imagine that we do the interviews and stuff after Warsh is nominated, and he's like a dove. Imagine that, like he's been saying for the last couple months. How epic is this trade going to be long the debasement trade? Because to me, this sell-off straight up on the Warsh nomination or whatever. And I think the market got it wrong. I just don't think he's a hawk. He hasn't been saying he's going to raise rates or anything like that. Maybe on the QE part, but no. In 2011,
hold on. If
2015 for sure, but that's not.
If he's good for monetary policy, I don't think that's bullish for silver and gold.
Dude, you're talking fiscal, like monetary, I think he's gonna rate lower rates, but he's not gonna do QE like other people are thinking. And I think that's gonna be perfectly fine. And this is not really, this pulled back right into
no, but that's my point. If he doesn't raise the balance sheet, silver and gold don't become a safe haven.
but there's still all the other reasons that silver and gold were already going. So just watch it. I think
I'm not trying to say I'm bearish silver and gold. I'm just saying both have gone nuclear. They fell the day that Warsh got initiated.
Yeah.
And the reason people like silver and gold is because the U.S. debasement, fiscal spending is out of control. If Warsh gets that under control,
it's not the only reason.
So buy treasuries, right?
Wrong.
But why wouldn't money just go back to treasuries, which is risk-free, versus gold and silver, which is acting like a meme stock every day?
Well, dude, if the U.S. has like a balance sheet issue in general,
well, that's the point of Warsh, to fix the balance sheet. That's why.
Yeah, but he's not gonna you don't want to go back into treasuries. I don't not right away. I don't think they're gonna go down. I would be more inclined to do silver and gold again, and copper and all that. Actually, I didn't even get shaken out, but just watch it, because that would be one hell of a trade if he comes out dovish and this is all for naught and you're right back to the highs, bro. But this is a typical correction. I think this gets to 85 easily. If it's under 67, and I said this last time because we had our levels like below 85, cool. We go to 67. We got there. This would be the next stop here, and if you can hold that, that is back to the highs. That's just how it is, like from a technical perspective. But it would be a funny trade if they're like, oh, it's done, and it's not actually done.
I mean, I think you're not wrong, by the way. I think silver and gold can get back. But that move on Friday was wild.
Typical.
I don't know if the worst day in history is typical. It was a bit.
It's typical for this chart. It's like we talked about it. We had it like right here. Like it's exhaustion. It's a kill candle. That near-term trend is killed. So right back into support. Now you watch, right? Now it's like, can it hold over 73? It did. So right now I have a bounce coming. I think the bounce is the question. Like, how big of a bounce do we get to? 85, 89. If this is over 95, I mean, it's on and cracking.
Yeah.
Which is not even that far away. It's a watch. Skip.
You're not excited at all about this one?
No, you got to get out of software.
Okay.
So like, yeah, double top. You want to like let this just breathe, because downside is, I'm happy now that you didn't tell me to like buy.
See,
I know. So like if that double top actually plays out, then it's probably closer to 350.
Okay, you said good stocks, right?
I said stocks that were going up. So give me some consumers. Did you just say
it's up after hours? Like,
no, give me a staple.
Walmart.
Okay. I mean, so this thing, $1 trillion club, right? Let's see. So here is our consolidation. He's going up. He congrats on that. 133. It's actually a little bit more. So if this can pull back and hold to 123s, look, this is a much better show. 123 is a decent pullback, and it could actually hold this. You don't want this. You don't want to see this below 120 though. But this is this thing is hot. This thing is coming in hot. Maybe this did this already play? I couldn't believe it today too. But I'm like, Walmart's where in the $1 trillion club? Like, that's insane.
I mean, it probably deserves to be a $1 trillion company, but a higher PE than some of the big growth.
I know. Wow. It's just where we are. Yeah. So this is doubling. Yeah, I think so. Pull back if it holds 122s. Look for it in this area. It would be interesting. That's not going to be counter trend. That would be a counter trend pullback. Staples, right? Just so you know, staples are like epic highs.
Verizon, Coke. Yeah, you're right.
Yeah. So just so we know, like, where is the market? If you don't look at these kind of stocks, then you don't get it, right? Growth will come back in vogue sooner than later. Well, at a certain point, it's not always sooner, but they're not the only stocks like at all. So maybe people would just look, oh my God, just looking at the wrong spots. This is J&J 230. That's like targets acquired. STZ, I have a trade on here. If this actually goes through, this could be a pretty big bullish to bearish to bullish reversal. Earnings have already come and gone, so that's out of my way. I'm just putting this on the radar. We're chopping over the 200-day now. We're well above the 20. I'm just now getting some kind of distance in between these two. If I can get through and I can breach 165, I'm looking at a $200 stock in the next 3 to 6 months. So this is the kind of stuff that you should be looking for. Just a guess. Look at that guess. There are a lot of stocks that are way beaten down in the safety trades. These are consumer staples. Conagra Brands, this is like food, right? Double top here, played out, completed. But did you guys know that these stocks are here? Like if this came out and this actually gets over 19, that's one hell of a reversal right there, dude. Don't know if it's going to happen, but that would be good night. That definitely
Are you liking Exxon and Chevron and those names as well?
I'm liking, so last time we spoke, I mentioned SLB. I'm really liking SLB. So I like the oil names. I think we're going to have a OPEC Plus meeting about the supply here in a little bit. I think tomorrow. This is the Venezuela situation. SLB is oil services. OIH is the ETF that tracks the sector. This is bullish, right? Let me zoom out a little bit. I'm on a daily chart. It looks decent, but let me zoom out to a monthly chart. Looks better than decent, right? A lot better than decent. So just expand the horizons a little bit. You know, Kramer says it all the time. There's always a bull market somewhere. It's true. If this on oil services, which is an ETF that tracks like Halliburton, Baker Hughes, all of those, this is over 360. I mean, they're starting to break out big time, right? SLB it's more of an international play. Halliburton's probably doing just as good. These have already reported earnings. That's out of the way. It's not a big deal. We know that we know where reversals start. They start at the 20-day recovery. You have massive like expansion and range here on something like SLB, massive above all major significant moving averages. This is a better chart than Meta. Like this is a better chart than Tesla. This is a better chart than NVIDIA. This is a good chart. There are many of these. This is not unique. But HAL, I always do this one. It's not that one. Halliburton. Just a guess. I haven't even looked at this in a long time. Yeah, these are bearish to bullish reversals. This is all oil services ETF. If we look at Oxy, which is my other play here, this is possibly, Oxy's been in the dumper for a very long time. The reversals start at the 20-day. Then you get confirmation of the 200-day. That's the white line. We're over it. We're now over the 200. We're over the 50. You have earnings coming still mid-February, but this is a chart that's been down in the absolute dumpers. Sorry, I keep messing this thing up. Has actually retraced. This is nat gas too, by the way, for those VG fans. 50% retracement, actually all the way down to the 618 retracement. This is what we call that golden pocket retracement. From 2020 lows, retracement complete. Now we're talking about turning into a bullish setup. If this actually breaches, which zoom in, it's getting more and more constructive. Earnings going to seal the deal here, but we're going to find out real quick if Buffett was right or wrong. And it would be right about now. And if something like this happens, look at on an Oxy, this is a generational buy. So yeah, this is investment, even or leaps. This is like you pull this back, it's a big deal. So Exxon, massive market cap. Yeah, you're right. Like, oh God. There are very good places for money right now, but they're not you know, this one's actually at targets, so I don't know that I could press this bet. But you always have to have like a lot of, you know, a lot more stocks in your wheelhouse. Like let's look at JPM. Financials have already reported, right? JPM hit that 300, breached it just slightly. What's happening? We got a bounce. So something like this, I had to 315, is going to be important as like how far does this bounce? 315 here is that first bearish retracement. I think you start to watch financials. If these can get up, and let's say you see JP Morgan over 325, they're going to lead. Actually, these guys will lead the sectors, and if this goes, then it's going to start looking a lot better. Do you remember my FLG, my New York bank, my New York Community Bank?
Yeah.
So 52-week highs again, but just starting. This is like your Basel III stuff. I mean, this is a stock that never recovered from the freaking Silicon Valley Bank debacle. It's $13 and is just now starting to poke its little head out after earnings. It's interesting, to say the least. There are a lot of other spaces that we're not maybe used to looking, like the pain pals, which is just, it blows my mind. But you can kind of spread your wings a bit. There's a lot of stocks over 2,000 in the market. I don't know why you're asking me that. You're asking me for PayPal because it was up a little bit. I mean, yeah, this is one where like, dude, I don't think you could short this anymore. Did they let the CEO go? Like they let him go. I mean, he didn't do anything good.
Okay, can we get into some final audience requests and then we'll be done for the day?
This is IPO high on PayPal. That might be an interesting spot for an oversold bounce. Yes, audience request. Let's go.
Iran.
They got a little choppy there for a second. I don't hate the neo clouds. Starting to act right again. Where was it? $63 was that first bearish target. This has got to get back over 56. So I stopped out of this on the trade. Your like targets acquired. I think I stopped somewhere down in here, 58s. But this one, I could see it at 46 for another bounce. It looks like Nebius. Looks a little bit like Nebius, maybe a little bit further ahead of Nebius. But this is that retest here in that 48. I'm going to pull this to a monthly. And you see the monthly still looks good. Yeah, 48.60 is kind of like my literal line in the sand that I've drawn. As long as it's holding that, I mean, really, if it's holding 50 or 49, that's great. But I need to see it up over 56 and ultimately 63. That one's got a little bit more time to evolve. Give that one a few weeks. Next.
ASTS.
Okay, I saw someone ask about CCJ. ASTS. I saw the ticker fly. Lower high, equal lows, consolidation. Yeah, sideways action right now. Just wait for the next move. This is like Target was acquired 129. Good God, I have a lot of freaking lines on this chart, dude. I don't know what chart that was. But yeah, this is a tougher consolidation. It's possibly locking a lower high. I would not want to press this bet.
Yeah, we could do CCJ too.
Oh, CCJ. So periodic table. I just saying watch them, right? If the periodic table is going, I mean, that could still be on deck. But over 126.5, I'd like to see Cameco for sure. Otherwise, maybe just let it chill for a bit. This is going to be from here to here. Let me drill in a little bit more. Yeah, 126.5 is going to be a pretty big pivot. You could get a bounce up into 130s. And if it's over 131.5, she's rocking and rolling 140s plus.
Reddit.
dude, what are they doing to these stocks? Some of these I just like, it feels so overdone. And I checked our internals today, and I'm like, you know, I think there might be a teeny tiny little bit more before we can start looking at some green, like some pretty good bounces. So like Reddit, if we saw 148, would not be surprised, right? Like we would not be surprised. And that might be all she wrote on that one. This one is, yeah, new lows coming in hot. That's gone. That's gone. This is complete. Remember when Sam said he wanted to buy the stock and like it just kept going up? Like, dude.
I do remember that. But this is also a super high beta name, right?
Yeah, well, it is high beta, so which means that it can go. So tomorrow or sometime this week, if we have one of those days where it just opens bloody red, because that's kind of what we're looking for. We're looking for one of those days that open bloody red and it closes green. Like that's the day you're like, all right, you know, Hood, I thought 85 was a great deal, but it opens up at 73 tomorrow, but it closes at 85. Like that's a buy. So if we see something like that, you know, I could see 148s on Reddit. So that's this next retest right there. So 148 or DDT, it'll be quick like a flash. And then if it get back over 155, then a counter trend bounce is $30 to 180 plus, or 180 from 155 to 180. That's a counter trend bounce. Now, when we get those bounces, if we get those bounces, what's going to be important is like, what if this bounce breaks over 180? Because I'm just saying the target should be 180. But what if it goes higher? Well, if it goes higher, and this is what we're going to be looking for, what I'm going to be looking for, if it goes higher and then it holds that 180 and continues to go higher, that's just a long. So that's kind of where we are. I can see a little bit more downside. And then we might get a counter trend bounce, and it's going to be all about how big are those counter trend bounces when we get them, if we get them, and can they sustain? Can they break through these resistance levels? Super important. All right, next. Cloudflare.
Yeah, I mean, let's do Cloudflare. That's an interesting one. This one's less SaaS because they're like the backbone of the internet, right?
It's SaaS. It's straight up SaaS. And yes, they are kind of the backbone of the internet. They sell lots of products, but namely,
but I don't think AI can commoditize them the way it can commoditize Path.
No, not at all. But can we see a little pullback? So this one's trend is not down, right? This one has it's a good company. Well, it's a good techno. I don't know. So if it cannot get over 173, we should see 146s. We're about to get our death cross on Cloudflare. So I'd wait for this to get wild. We're going to have earnings coming in a couple days or in a week. I think she's a big earnings mover. So it's hard to say, do you want to jump ahead of this now? In truth, I don't actually know how much their market is worth. So yes, it's backbone stuff, but it's not expensive stuff. And they try to do extra things like security and things like that, but they're not so great company. I just, high beta. I think you can see 140s, 145, something like that, just under 150. But from there, want to see a little bit more step in, but this looks a little rough. We could look at CrowdStrike in this similar. Palo Alto, maybe. These guys. What are they doing, dude? What are they doing here? So
this is definitely fast.
Station 0 for the show.
I don't know. The cybersecurity is getting upgraded across the board as well. So
yeah, so I like cybersecurity as an industry for sure. I mean, it's always going to be one of those good plays. I would wait to see a little bit more from this. This is definitely actually broken trend near term. Well, this is actually long term. This is the last 2 years of trend. So That's what's a little bit more concerning.
Can we do beam and R?
Isn't it $20? So do you want a downside target?
Yeah, whatever you're thinking.
Well, I'm thinking you got to wait for ETH. I don't hate CrowdStrike just to tie off on it. Is that my line or is that your line? $20? I must have drawn this in one of our things. Is it 200 week SMA? This is, I think, an extension of a breakdown of another breakdown. So I dumped it. We got to see, like, this has got a one handle in front of it if we have ETH sub 2K.
Yeah,
it's just what it is. And I have like 15s. So it's in the dumper right now. Can we get a counter trend bounce? So let's just say what that looks like. You're at the 200 week SMA. You can get a counter trend bounce up to 27s now, even 30s. But if it can't get back over 30 with any kind of strength, you got to be careful because this has got 15 written on it. I don't know why. Right? Well, I do know why, but that's just lame. They don't like Tommy Lee. I think does selling have to be done here?
Again, I think it's dependent on ETH. So I feel you.
Yeah. TSM interesting. No damage here. It's a good looking chart.
Massive earnings as well.
Yeah. This looks like it wants to consolidate a little bit more, but if this takes another shot towards these highs, because you got like 1, 2, 3. Usually the third pullback is like the biggest pullback. So I could see something like this, but anything on a fourth attempt should break. But for right now, you're holding this 330 kind of support at the 20-day. You want to make sure that you hold the 20-day on TSM. Otherwise, you can have a bigger pullback, which is to like the 3s, but I don't see that happening just yet.
We did Meta already. Jason thinks the trend is broken. Yeah, GOW.
So I like this one. This is the earnings. I guess maybe I was being a little bit too. So I took a shot on this yesterday. I bought some equity. This is really close. I might have been being like overly precise. This is the top 117.5. And we had a gap up this morning, filled the gap, retested this 110. This general, like you're looking at, if this ends up being, one of those steamy cups of Starbucks, can we look at Starbucks? That would be cool. But this looks more constructive than not. It has to. And I mean, it really has to get through that 117.5. And then it's off to the races. This actually looks good. I didn't expect to see it up this much after hours. So we'll have to see. But if this can break that earnings high, this could be your next SanDisk / Micron / Western Dig / STX / SK Hynix.
Applied Digital, APLD. Kind of following Iran, I think.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I could see this one bouncing. It's got to get back over 40. Otherwise, if you get a bounce to 40, I would be more cautious than optimistic on APLD. I really would be more cautious than optimistic on this one. I don't really care for this setup because you have this low. I don't know if that's going to be a breach or not. You have a high. This is like equal lows. And so like on something like this, more like what I would realistically see is like consolidation. And I wouldn't want that consolidation to break down or assume that it's going to go higher. So I would just wait on this.
Adobe, or is that same software dead?
I'm going to assume it's real bad. Down bad, dude. Down bad.
Dude, this is 2022
Hashtag
lows.
down bad.
This is bottom of bear market lows on Adobe right now. By the way, real quick, before you get into this, I just want to share something real quick with people. This is just a random tweet that I'm seeing from someone who studies software. This tweet, I think, whether it's accurate or not, exemplifies why software is getting hit. SaaS continuing to get murdered. I will tell you 100% without a doubt, having pushed my Claude bot extremely hard. For those that don't know about Claude bot, we'll talk about it tomorrow, but it's pretty crazy. In 24 months, the vast majority of software will be built start to finish with a similar tool. There's no need for an IDE, no need for vibe coding, no need for cursor or anything else. There will be no need for any offshore development team. The Claude bot will do everything. Front end, back end, database infrastructure, project scope, planning, communication, and more. What it can do now is rather deep and complex work. Give it 24 months, it will be building almost anything needed. Maybe more importantly, it will maintain all 24/7, 365 via English language interactions by anyone with basic MS Office skills. Your admin will tell Claudebot to update or change something in the software whenever needed. I feel like that sentiment is what most people need to say.
Can you translate like I'm 5?
AI agents will do everything when it comes to software development. Claudebot is the latest open source version of what that could be, which means, again, I think it's a little bit.
It means that everybody loses their jobs.
But no, it means that
that's what I heard.
It means that you don't need a CRM from Salesforce, which again,
everybody loses
need,
jobs.
Well, companies need regulatory frameworks and compliance and all this shit. I don't know if that open source AI can do it, but the market's acting like that tweet is 1000% true. The way they're giving Adobe 2022 levels.
I mean, that if that's but this is market rhetoric, right? So first of all, I don't know how much that's going to save anybody, in actual earnings or costs. It sounds like he's saying that all the low level work's going to be out the window in reality.
Yes.
But the market may not understand that, and they might just say, so everybody's going to lose their jobs. Because, as a 5-year-old, if I'm trying to understand that, that's what the hell it sounded like. And I mean, that's kind of dumb. So, but that's what we're seeing in the charts. It is what we're seeing in the charts. And Adobe is still not looking great. I don't even know when to thinking about this, dude. I really don't.
If people saying, what does that mean for Palantir? Without getting too technical about what Palantir does with the orchestration of AI, at its core, the problem with Adobe, and so they're not showing the growth. So Palantir guiding for the growth they're guiding at. I mean, maybe there's a world in which AI commoditizes Palantir, even though I really doubt it. But if they can keep growing like that, the market, I think, won't care because the growth is there. Adobe and Salesforce, unfortunately, talking about low double-digit, if even double-digit growth rates.
Yo, what happened to Intuit?
I feel like we're not doing taxes anymore in this country or something like that.
Well, they're not even charging, right? But
this is are AI agents just going to do all the taxes? Is that what's happening with Intuit? I mean, this is incredible.
This is incredible because this is one of the greater stocks out there, but no earnings. What is this down today?
When's the last time we saw this?
When's at 10%?
2024, right? We saw this price, or 2023?
Uh-huh.
Yeah, it's about a year.
35% in the last month.
No, 2023. We haven't seen these levels since August 23. That's crazy, bro.
Look, we pay for QuickBooks over here at Paper Gains Incorporated. So, I mean, I don't know what to say. That is at support. Some things like this just don't make a whole lot of sense right now. But this is what I'm saying. So weird to think that we opened a couple pennies away from the highs this morning at the index level, and we have this.
Can we seriously talk about this? Because retail is not causing a 10% drawdown on Intuit.
No, they're not.
I actually think institutions are waking up and are like, holy shit, Claudebot is going to commoditize Intuit.
I feel like it's in general just fear, right? You posted today, we're at fear today. So this is can we go a little? And so my point is this: the whole are you going to short the whole? You're really close to shorting the whole, but you're not quite. So it could probably go a little bit down more, but at the end of the day, something like this looks. I don't know, right? If they're right or wrong, but somebody But what I can see here is that, well, they're just not so sure that they're right anymore. And so maybe there's some profit taking. And, you know, in the meantime, there's always the lipstick stocks that look to be doing all right. So let's just check on your Estee Lauder. Oh my goodness, dude. Yeah, so that is just, it could be rotation. That's aggressive. That's really aggressive. They have to have had some kind of announcement or pre-announce. This
No, dude, there was nothing. There was literally nothing. Guys, was there a headline on Intuit today? I don't think there was anything.
It's not even today. It's like, what was the headline on January 13th? This is aggressive.
Bro, there was no headline on Shopify, no headline on
Shopify,
Salesforce, like no headline on Adobe. This is no headline on Microsoft. That's for damn sure.
Oh, there was a headline. No headline on Hood, right?
The Hood just has the headwind of Bitcoin.
Yeah,
but yeah, dude, did you see Moody's? Moody's was down 10%.
What?
This is a Berkshire stock. No one's supposed to sell.
What's the ticker?
MCO.
Well, I don't really even. That's a no. I didn't see Moody's. What?
Why is the credit rating agency that no one trades down 10%?
I mean, I can understand if Berkshire is. Hey, so do we short Berkshire now?
No, why would you?
Because clearly everything that they own is going down, but their stock didn't go down.
Well, they still have a ton of Apple. Apple's actually up today, I think.
Dude, what a quarter for Apple, by the way. Like, bro.
Crushed it.
Like, whoa. I actually didn't see that coming. Look.
What about FICO? FICO was down 8% today.
Why? There's something weird going on.
Dude, is the stock market just a scam and all the money's leaving? Is that what?
I don't know, for sure. Yeah. So the stock market is a scam, and there's more scam tokens in the stock market than there are in the cryptoverse. That's true. Right. You should know that. Right. You should all know that. But you know, I don't know. That's a weird one.
It's a weird one, dude.
I feel like we watch Berkshire. What's the Chubb CB?
Oh, didn't that have earnings today? CB,
yeah, they did.
Down 1%.
Yeah, still holding.
Hold on. Can you look at ALAB real quick? Did that one get hit? ALAB.
Even like Marvell has come down a little bit. They're back at the kind of base area lows, so they're gonna have earnings that's sideways for right now. But Marvell's on the lows. She's at the lows. Anytime this is like been under 80, I kind of nibble at it, but that's stock. I don't, we're at 74s, broken that little trend. So I don't know. Arista, a little pullback, actually still holding trend. I mean, this Arista is reasonably priced to me. But did that Celestica recover? I don't know about Celestica. That looks a little bit at risk. This is much smaller market cap though. This is more at risk of a random 10-15% drop day than, I mean, Arista can do that too. Let's not mess around here. But yeah, some of these guys, look, Procter looking good, right?
No, the problem with all these names you're mentioning, which I agree, it's important to look at them, is I don't think anyone realistically is going to rotate into Verizon, Procter, Coca-Cola, etc. That's the issue. Like, it's good to
in
look.
In a midterm year, I think you're wrong.
Okay, hold on. So that means you think growth stocks are getting hit pretty heavy, because you can give me the midterm year reason all you want, but are you actually selling Meta for Procter and Gamble? You're not.
Yeah, it happens every year.
No, so are you selling Meta for Procter and Gamble?
Constellation Brands, yes.
No, but Jason, realistically, you're not selling any of your growth for.
I legitimately just said yes. for Constellation Brands. If like for like STZ, if it's really legit coming off, there's more upside to me near term.
Hold on, then you're selling Hood for Constellation Brand. Like you're not doing.
No. I like Hoodie. Hoodie stays. It's a permanent fixture.
Hood is a metaphor for your growth. You're not rotating into value.
It's a different kind of growth. I think it goes from cycle to cycle. I think we have a little bit more. I think I like.
So then you got to get rid of your NVIDIA for Coca-Cola.
I already got rid of most of my NVIDIA a long time ago, dude. But
then your Amazon doesn't win in a midterm year.
It's my only Mag 7 that I have like a little bit more. I want to see what happens post earnings. I still like Amazon, but I mean, I know it could be 220s. But
yeah, but hold on. You have plenty of other growth stocks, unless I'm wrong. And I are you rotating out of all of them and going into SLB, which is doing great right now? But if Amazon
FCX, Freeport, SLB, well, I already told you about this, but this is months, Oxy, and FLG. That's months coming in. Like it's been happening for months. But it's
so your portfolio is basically value now, not growth. That's what you're saying.
No. I still have Hood. I still have Tesla. But I've been adding this Corning. I have Marvell. I have PWR.
Again, I don't care if you do that. Like, honestly, I don't. I'm just saying, like, to actually. I know it's been a couple bad days, but to actually go. By the way, in 2022, it was the right thing to do what you're saying. Go into value. I just wonder if that's going to happen again.
I think it can happen again for a few months. Nothing crazy. And like now we're coming in towards the lows. I think that I'm in the middle of like, well, you can reallocate to Microsoft. Like I literally bought Microsoft today. Not a lot of it, but I literally today bought Microsoft. And there are certain things where like, I'm a trader, right? Like I'm a trader and an investor, but like Hoodie, even at this point, can still be a trade. Like I know that can just be a counter trend bounce to 110, even maybe 135. It might still be at risk. Amazon.
Okay, so let me ask this question. Do you think for the longs here that are not traders?
How long? Give me a time frame.
At least 5 years. Do you think? Let's say you're 100% growth. Let's say you're 100% growth.
Yeah.
Now let me just finish the question. Let's say you're 100% growth. Would you think it's wise to trim 15% of that growth? Let's say you have $100,000 invested in growth. Trim 15% of that, so 15,000 or 20,000, whatever you're thinking, and throw it into value. Like, do you think that's realistic for a year?
First of all, I need to know how old you are, and like what kind of value you're talking about. Like, if the value has growth in it, like if it's high quality growth potential,
the names you mentioned. The names, SLB, all the stuff at Halliburton.
I love SLB. I've loved SLB. You should know I've loved SLB for years. It's not just like a one thing. It's been in my portfolio for years. But if you're of the mindset of like, I need to be a little bit more wealth preservation than wealth creation, yes. Not 3 to 5 years. I think like 1 year, but you still want to be picking at a little bit of growth at the bloodiest red days. You remember what's the general that said, don't shoot till you see the whites of their eyes? Like we're about to see their whites of their eyes again on some of these stocks. But it could come down a little bit more. And if it doesn't bounce strong enough, then we're about to find out. Come February, which we're welcome to February, this is the month that will determine whether or not we have a 6-month pullback, usually.
I don't disagree with you. I am wondering if this is the heat of the moment and growth's getting hit, and that's why, like Verizon, up 11% over the past couple of days. Is that it? And that's a real move.
What's going on with Verizon?
Well, so they had a great earnings, big buyback, and to your point, rotation from growth to value. But we saw this happen last year to an extent.
Liberation it happens every year to an extent. Every year.
It happens every year to an extent. But if I had sold my NVIDIA last year for Verizon when it was making its little moves,
I'm not saying do that.
But so I get it. My broader point is I wonder, I'm actually trying to take your side here. I wonder if you're right. I wonder if it's a midterm year. I wonder if the market is tired of this AI stuff. I wonder if this OpenAI shit's getting people annoyed. I wonder if earnings growth is not enough. And then I wonder if all this SaaS carnage is actually just hedge funds saying we're going to go into SLB and chill out for a bit and not trust Shopify and pay their growth multiple. And,
well,
and as we
got a lot of other things going for them. But I think I'm just saying, like, there are other sectors. If there's an opportunity to potentially broaden your horizons, yeah, take a look. You don't have to buy anything, but I would be very cautious about adding right now into tech. I think that we get, like, my point is that we could get SLB might be a little stretched too right now. By the way, it's like nearly double off the lows. It's clear that there's rotation going on right now. So maybe those values pull back for a little bit, like immediately. Maybe tomorrow they're all red, blood red, possibly. And then tech is like bright green tomorrow. Very real, like, situation potentially. It's like I've been saying, it's about how big those bounces and pullbacks end up being. So, like, we've broken support on a lot of things, very near-term support. If the next bounce brings us back over those supports and then we come back down, retest, kind of bounce a little bit, and that support holds, that's fine. Like, we're perfectly fine. In the meantime, what's just, like, glaringly obvious is that there's some fear out there. Whether or not this is fear to be bought into just yet, it's still kind of TBD. I think you can get a bounce, but I'm been pretty clear on using the term counter trend bounce, because a lot of these things are counter trend bounces. So I do think we can get bounces, but are they bounces that are not, like, that means that these might not be investable levels. These are tradable levels, but they might not be investable levels just yet.
No, I agree. And to your point, like, if someone nukes their NVIDIA right here to get into SLB or Verizon, it might end up being the best choice of this year, but it also might be a horrible choice. And that's why this is so hard. Because I kind of don't know.
Or you can just,
that you know is that NVIDIA's earnings are going to be phenomenal. And that's what I think will drive.
You don't have to rotate into value, because what's really true is that no matter what, this time next year, growth is probably going to be hot. Right? Like, probably going to be, like, hotter. But in between now and then, it could be tepid. And maybe you have cash and you slowly deploy if your time horizon is at least 3 to 5 years. Because the time horizon I'm talking about being defensive is less than 1 year. I'm not talking about being defensive. I don't know how many times I said it. At September, October of this year is the dip buys. Like, to me, just if you're trading off a calendar, this year, September, October is typically the big buy, right? In a presidential cycle, this is usually the bigger buy, but that also means that dips can sometimes get more aggressive, and we just got to find out, like, where we're going. So a lot of the charts that we were looking at today are kind of like, let's see, like, wait and see. A lot of them are just like hold, wait. Because there's not a lot of reason to, like, go out on a limb. To your point, we don't know if things are going to get better instantly tomorrow or get worse. But I don't think that a lot of these, like this Intuit down 10%, FICO down 10%, that's crazy, right? But have we seen it before? Hell yeah, we have. And, like, sometimes that's not been the end, but sometimes it's the beginning. I just don't know.
All right. Thank you, everybody. We appreciate it. Jason's Twitter is right there. I think we got through about 40 tickers today. So
when in doubt, wait it out. I like it.
No, honestly, when in doubt, wait. You don't have to go crazy buying the dip. You really don't.
Yeah.
You can wait.
They're saying silver's breaking out. I'm sorry, they're saying gold's breaking.
Oh, I got someone downstairs, so I definitely got to go right now.
Tell them we said what's up. Appreciate it.
Jason's YouTube right there. Remember, he streams on Monday every week. So if we didn't do your ticker, please subscribe to his YouTube. You will get access to all of his tickers. And his Twitter has his Discord in the link. Make sure you click that. You can join his Discord for free and interact with him there and get more exposure.
Cool. All right, guys. Appreciate you all.
See you
Onwards
tomorrow.
and upwards. Hopefully we're green tomorrow, bud. All right.
Hopefully.
See you guys.
Bye, everyone.
Later.
Bye.